Did I come here on this podcast to say the sun rises in the east? I don't need to say it because it's the truth.
When I came in my senses, I realized that I'm just saying what?
What we're discussing right now might be highly controversial, might hurt some of you out there.
One thing, before you speak, because I know the people who are going to watch right now, Yasir is boasting about himself because this is what he does. My answer to these people, when you go out, drink, party, when you're eating all the rubbish, aren't you boasting about it? By posting it?
You touched on the topic of masculinity. I think we can all agree that men on a general basis are just not masculine anymore.
There was a time you did not lose weight, you were crying about it, you were very upset, you were like throwing your tantrums like a kid, literally like a kid.
3 phases of my transformation with DYB. It's like watching any complex movie. If you watch Inception, maybe you need 2-3 times to understand the real movie.
This is the longest podcast that I have ever shot. I know if you will spend these 4 hours listening to this podcast, it will make so much sense. Aaron, the reason I wanted you to be here is because I see you as a great leader. Not just the way you speak and not just the kind of ideology you have, but the way you have taken this step of living a better life by living a healthier, a fitter life. Because we already, what I have observed in our relationship since last, let's say, as a coach and a client or as good friend, you are one of my closest friends. In past nearly 2-3 years, nearly 3 years, that you have very strong ideology, and all your ideologies, all your values are very much correct. But the only issue you had was it was not implemented. You have not taken it in your lifestyle. You have not used it in your lifestyle or utilized it. But now, by taking these steps the way you have done it, you are going to implement more and more. But the brain you have, I really admire your intellectuality, your knowledge, wisdom. I would not say that much wisdom. And you know why? I think it's better you describe it, that why I would not say it wisdom.
Yeah, because pretty much knowledge is what you acquire through informations like books or, what people record or say or write down. Wisdom is more like a hard taught. It comes from experience, which is a hard teacher, because it gives the lesson it gives the test first and the lesson later.
Yeah.
And when I see you, I see like, we're two sides of the same coin. That's at least the way I look at it. Whereas you have all the wisdom and I have all the knowledge. And now that's why I value our friendship so much, because there's so much we can exchange with each other. Mostly people tend to, be with the same friends who have the same skill sets, same mentality, same everything. But it's often a lot more beneficial to have friends who have something that you can gain from and something you can give back. And, as long as you mentioned about the whole leadership role and, implementing all that wisdom in my life. Yes, as I just told you today morning, making a living. So this is a famous quote by Socrates, who is, a very ancient Greek philosopher and possibly even the father of Stoicism. Making a living is what you can get from the world. But making a life or a legacy is what you give back to the world. So to be a leader, you have to give back to the world. But before you can give back to the world, you have to take from the world, right? You have to make a living and you have to get a proper lifestyle. You have to mold yourself into a role model that people can follow, because just any leader, nobody will follow. You have to walk the walk or talk. Exactly. You can't claim to be someone who is in a leadership position when you yourself have not walked the path. You cannot claim to guide someone down a specific path. And that's what I see a lot in society nowadays, is that, and I was just explaining to you about the whole analogy. So there are 2 ponds. You come from one pond, and our entire society that's over here. Yes. I'm going to step on a lot of toes here, but
that's why I really don't tell, no problem. Because as I said, like if a leader will be scared to speak the truth, then who do you expect it from?
Exactly.
Who do you expect it from? That people are just following. And if you become a follower again, the truth will be hidden again. And that's what is happening in today's time. And you need to, I'm not saying this particularly you, me, or society, anyone and everyone needs to speak the truth. Because the more you hide the truth will not change. It's just you're destroying your own surrounding by hiding the truth.
Absolutely. And again, once again, I always think of like Socrates in these matters.
Isn't it like the Zeno? Zeno is the father of...
Xenophon is, much later.
so Zeno came later.
Yes.
And
Socrates is one of the first. His student was Aristotle. So
Yeah, Aristotle.
yes.
And then the Zeno came.
Xenophon is much.
And then the Marcus Aurelius. He was the teacher of the Marcus Aurelius.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was basically like, this guy's the inspiration.
Epictetus and the Seneca, three of them, they formed the Stoic philosophy.
Yes.
I think they put it more into in the literature and create the proper structure of this. I think the school, which they started at the Stoic school, back then in the Romans time, and since Marcus Aurelius was the last Roman successful emperor, and the greatest king of the king. So I think that's what made Stoicism is so much on point.
But yeah, anyways, with Socrates, one of the major quotes he was saying, and you were just saying, do not be afraid to speak the truth. One of his wonderful quotes that I actually really like is that we can forgive a child who is afraid of the dark, but the true tragedy of life is when an adult is afraid of the light.
Isn't that what's happening in today's time?
Exactly. We're too afraid to speak the hard truths. We want to accept lies, and lie after lie. Sooner or later, you're going to have to pay that debt.
Yeah.
Right. And when that debt comes calling, the price is going to be massive. So it's better to accept the reality and live in the reality. And that's where you can make real progress. And today, as I said, with the whole pond analogy, you have one pond where people have been, leading a very misled lifestyle that has been promoted by, influencers, that has been promoted by the media, that's been promoted for various reasons, that focuses mainly on materialism, on hedonistic tendencies where...
Hedonistic tendencies. First you complete that and you have to describe this.
Yes, so it's focusing on all of that as a true way of finding fulfillment in life, whereas you find fulfillment in completing the simple day tasks of the day rather than overindulgence, which is basically what being a hedonistic is. So for example, if I'm a person who overindulges in, let's say, beef, for example, I eat Kobe beef all the time, then even regular beef will not make me happy. I'll in fact be very upset eating regular beef, whereas there are so many people who would be more than happy to have regular beef. And that's just one example, but if you overindulge...
There is another example which I can give you on this.
Yes.
Well, people did not have food. They used to go and hunt and find food, and they were very happy to eat just the raw food.
Exactly.
In today's time, people don't want to eat at home.
Yes.
And even if at home, if it's like just a regular, that's like in our societies, like dal rice or plain meat or plain chicken or, just eggs, roti, these are not unhealthy food, but they don't like it. They want to have extra, and let's order something from extra. Oh, we are not eating from home. Oh, it's boring. That this one word, when people say boring,
Exactly.
it's such a negative word. If I call you, right? If I call you, hey Aaron, what's up? What's happening? You say like, hey, what's happening? Nothing, just bored. That just instance of me saying bored is me. I see myself as a weak man.
Absolutely.
I'm a weak man if I expect from me and accept it that I'm bored.
Yes.
What am I doing with my life that I actually got bored out of something? Now when it comes to the nutrition, if I give you a diet, which is just, let's say I give you your best food is this, the Kobe beef.
Yeah, exactly.
I give you this. Let's say the second best to your food is, let's say, a burger or a pizza, XYZ. I give you that and I create a diet plan and I say like, this is it. Even no matter how much you love this food, if you're going to follow that for 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, you're going to get bored of it.
Absolutely.
And you'll be like, I got bored. Oh, what happened? You wanted the best the way you wanted it and you just got bored. But in this food, the kind of health risk you will face later will be the icing on the cake, the icing on your boredom.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that boredom and what you were describing, this anything and everything which is like too much, you're doing it like so much to the food. And today's time people have like, it's a social media trend that make money, have a lot of girls, party a lot, drink a lot, smoke a lot, and anything and everything which is, and always remember one thing, you tend to do excessive things, or you tend to take excessive, which is easy. Absolutely. And everything, whatever comes with easy, and if it includes money, you're just going to work hard for money, and all of this, whatever is going to add value to your life, that will be excessively available for you because you have made money.
Sure, absolutely.
That is another equation which goes wrong.
Absolutely. So it's like, you see the truly successful people in society, the ones who actually make a lot of wealth, success, you know, the difference between a truly successful man is where he doesn't overspend his wealth, right? They're very, I don't want to take any names, but you know, many of the top rich people in the world, they live a very simple life. When you look at them, you have no idea. There's nothing that shows that they are materialistic. They're not wearing all these fancy brands. They're wearing simple clothes. They conduct themselves in the same way. And it all goes down to saying that money doesn't really change a person. It just exposes what is already there. So if you're already a weak person and now you're given a lot of money, you will spend it on weak ideas, right? But if you have worked hard and earned that money and you're a strong person, then you will use that money for strong ideas. Like, for example, let's talk about your organization. Whatever you're earning, you're investing in further improving it to spread good ideas, right? But if I just find, let's say, a person on the road who has no financial knowledge, who is living a very, a very not so good lifestyle, and I give him the same amount of money you have right now, I can guarantee you he will not be able to replicate what you're doing right now because he doesn't have the mindset to do it. If anything, whatever he's currently engaged with will only be amplified. So if he is, an alcoholic, he will just spend more money on alcohol because now he has the available funds to do so, right? He might buy more expensive alcohol. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
But he will keep spending on the same things in life, right? If he is maybe, let's say, a car addict, and this is what happens here. We see people buying, over excessive things that they don't actually need. And these are the people we live for.
And to impress the people they don't even care about.
Exactly. To impress the people, like there's this famous saying by C.S. Lewis, right? We spend money we don't have to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like. So it's really funny how that works, But at the end of the day, when it comes to these, there are a lot of examples in today's society of people claiming to be a proper guy, right? And they suggest things like, stick to your purpose, be on point, follow, get your drive. Because again, we will touch on this topic about masculinity and where it stands in today's society. But there are a lot of pundits for men's mental fitness and, empowerment.
Yeah.
And then they claim, do this, be purpose, have purpose in life, work hard, earn a lot of money. And then once you get a lot of money, spend it on cars, spend it on women, spend it on, so basically on all of this.
Spend it on, your alcohol, your lifestyle, the lavish lifestyle, make your house even bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
I know. And these people also claim that they are doing a lot of charity. Okay, fine. Whatever you are extra using it for yourself, okay, fine. You don't need to have 500 cars or 200 cars. You can still have like 4 or 5 cars, some of the best cars. How many cars will you actually drive? And to maintain those cars is going to take a lot of more money and the manpower, which can be used and utilized for something much better.
Absolutely.
Do the charity, but in the world, the help is needed way more than the amount you are giving right now.
Absolutely. And I think when it comes to this, some of the ways that they would respond against this is that by me buying more cars, I'm creating more jobs because more people are making more cars. Well, fine, okay, buy a car and then donate it to someone who needs it.
Yeah.
Right? You can easily do that. You're doing double good.
Yeah.
Instead of having many cars. Or unless if you're doing cars as a sort of a exhibition, okay, then it makes sense, right? You're creating some value where car enthusiasts can come, have a look at the car. You're earning probably money from that, which you're using to further improve society.
Yes.
So you're having a purpose, but it's not about buying cars for self-satisfaction. That's the difference, right? you're buying, or anything, we can take any example, you're buying excessive clothes, anything you buy for self, to satisfy yourself, or overindulgence, so self-indulgent, is obviously going to have negative impacts, because tomorrow you're not going to be able to live without it.
Yeah.
And as, again, I go back to Socrates, as he says, life is not constant. There are ups and downs. And the trick is not to be too elated in the ups and not to be too depressed during the downs. You have to learn how to manage and master your emotions, that if you're living in the best aspects of your life, you are always ready to realize that things can go wrong.
You can fall, and then still you perform the same way, exactly the same thing.
And this is one of the things I always ask you, and you always tell me that because you have come from a very humble background. And of course, you have achieved success very quickly, although it is a very tough, a tough journey that you have undergone to achieve this success. Your rise has been quite exponential. And I always ask you, what happens when things go, down, right? What impresses me is always your answer, right? Like, you're not too much attached to all of this success, right? It's just a byproduct of who you are. And if the success vanishes,
I still do what I do.
You still do what you do. Exactly. So in that sense, you're not too attached. And this is what happens to people. They think they own things, but in reality, those things own them.
Exactly. So in this, it's a very good story is there. So my sister, when I went to Bombay first time, I was 16, 17 years old. And I went to Bombay and I came back right after 6 months because I could not survive. I did not have money to eat food. I was living in Charles with 12 to 15 people and don't have jobs. I did not have anything to support myself with and backed up. So I came back and my sister was looking at my face and she started crying. She was like, you have worked so hard, you have done so much, you have been selling milk, you have been working at a bookstore, you have worked so hard on your body and you went to make your life, and we just came back and what will you do in life? I said, I tell you what. I went there, what was I doing that time? What was that one thing I was so excited about, and I was so in love with that.
Mm-hmm.
So and training and growth. Training, physically training,
right,
and growth. So constantly I was learning. I was like, what if I do that even now? I have gone to Bombay. I came back. I learned my lesson, what I'm not supposed to do the next time, right? And when I came back, I'm just going to do the same thing. She's like, yeah, actually. Then it happened once, twice, thrice, gazillion times.
Mm-hmm.
It literally took me first 10, 15 years to actually establish myself to stay somewhere properly, just so that I can, because I never stuck in a job. I was not good at anything, and I was always, majority of the time I was kicked out.
Yeah.
And I was kicked out not because I was not working properly. I was kicked out because the kind of mindset I have, it's good is good, bad is bad. I will do the right at any cost.
Absolutely.
Right? Sometimes I said things because my manager asked me, okay, your duty is here. We are going to clean this stuff. And if any member who is going to leave the dumbbells over here or anything, ask them politely to put it back. I would say I did the right thing, but the mistake in their eyes was that I asked this question to the wrong people, some of the most powerful people in the industry in Bollywood. And I asked them, you finished? Can you please put your dumbbells back? And they're like, you know who you're talking to. You know who I am. And that was my last encounter. So such incidents, a lot of incidents are. That's why I used to come back and I was kicked out on the spot.
Yeah.
I was never kicked out because I missed going there. I went there late. I did not do my job. I did not respond to my team leader or the manager. I did not stay when it was a weekend. I still remember I was living in Kandivali. I ran literally to the metro station. I took the metro. It was flood there, and the metro stopped at Jogeshwari, and I took the metro to Andheri. Right. And Jogeshwari was just the next stop. So Kandivali, Malad, and then Jogeshwari. I stopped at Jogeshwari because metro collapsed. You cannot go further in this. I took the bus stop in Jogeshwari, west side, towards that side. I took the rickshaw from there. That stopped further because everything was just stopping up low on that because blocking. It will not go further. There was a roadblock. I reached there. My job was at 10 a.m. in the morning. I reached there 11:30, and I thought like, done. This is my last day because I'm late. I reached to the Star Mall. There was True Fitness Gym in Mumbai. I climbed up there. There was not even a receptionist. I was the only person who reached there. And one staff who was living there, he came. It's like, oh, you came? I thought like no one would come. I mean, yeah, I'm here. And then Tiger came, Tiger Shroff. He came and he was surprised because he was living in Juhu that time. So Juhu, I don't know where he lives now. From Juhu to come to Andheri was just like one way, and it was not blocked that time. This side was blocked that time. The road was not blocked. He had a car, of course, a Jay Shroff's son. He came in his car, and Ranjit's son was there as well. I don't remember exactly if he was there, but Danny's son came with him. And Tiger told me like, so dude. And then he said, your name is not Yasir. Your name is Yes, Sir. Because I respect that you have reached here on this day. So these are the incidents which happens to me. And so sometimes I succeeded and sometimes I failed just because the way I was living there, I had been off. Now, every time I came back, the only one thing which was holding me back and is still in today's time, if I let go of everything today and everyone in my life, only one thing I have to hold on to, and that is my training. That is my discipline. That's it, because that's what makes me happy. You have seen my growth in past 3 years, literally from a couple of thousand to where I am.
Where you are today.
Right? Maybe 30, 40 clients to where I am. No place to where I am, one of the biggest and the most advanced gym in the world.
Yes.
You have seen. But in this process, what is that one thing I have never stopped doing and I still live the same way?
It's the training. It's your discipline. And yes, discipline is something society in general lacks today.
Yeah.
With the lack of discipline, as you see, there's overindulgence and exactly what people say, life is boring, as you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
That is because we overindulge, right? If my diet is boring, is because I always think of the things that give me great pleasure and I want to have that. That's why this normal thing is boring. But to a person who's starving, it's amazing.
Exactly.
If today was a boring day, is because I didn't go out, enjoy in a club, or I didn't party. I mean, I'm not talking personally, but in society in general, people feel their lives are boring because they tend to spend too much activities in these kind of activities. So much so that with social media, and I'm not even on social media, you know that. But the people who are on social media, you can confirm for me, they go out to a party and they click maybe 10, 15 pictures. And to everyone over here who is on social media, you can confirm this is the truth. I'm not afraid to say it. You don't post all those 15 pictures in the same day because you're afraid that your life will look boring to the other people.
Yes.
You'll keep posting across the other days. But in reality, you're miserable because you're not living that one day of which you are posting through the next couple of weeks.
So you're losing this and you're losing that both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why not live in the present? That's always, and that's the reason for me, I got off social media, is because I started to realize this happened to me. I don't consider myself to be any better or any worse than any other human next to me because I believe that I'm a deeply flawed individual.
Yeah.
But we can improve. There is scope for everyone to improve. Nobody is perfect. Everyone can improve. It just takes accepting the truth, being able to confront it, and then the second step is to do what it is necessary to take it. So I've not had a difficulty personally to accept truth, but of course, to put in the work, that's where you have helped me a lot, personally. Solve things with the phone, recording the fireworks, the phone. You're living in a virtual world, trying to please people, trying to prove to people that your life is happening, right? When you have to prove to someone something, then you already know it's not true.
Yeah.
Because if you know what is true, you don't have to. Did I come here on this podcast to say the sun rises in the east? I don't need to say it because it's the truth, right? But if I have to say the sun rises in the west, that's because something is not true there.
Yeah.
Right? If I have to say my life is happening, it's because it's not true. If I have to say I look good, it's because I don't look good. You know, right? And that's where people want to accept and tolerate everything in society. You know, if you're not fit, or you look fine, go slay queen, go, so hot, so, fire emojis, all of this stuff. I see it, I'm not on social, but I know this affects because I was there when this was happening.
Even if you're not there, everyone is talking about that. Everyone is behaving that way. What they are behaving, they're just putting it there on social media. So what happened in social media? No one is there to actually judge you. Like, for an example, like there are fake accounts also, and you have created your own surrounding of like weak people, and then they just cross comments on each other. Okay, I support you, you support me. I support your weakness, you support my weakness.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Like,
if you are so honest and you so brutally honest, okay, tell the truth and go out there and then see how much backlash you have to face.
and how many true friends you have remaining?
There is none. In social media, tied only true friend is this right here, your phone, and no one else, because this is the only connection you have with people. Also, without that, you don't sit with people in front of people. Leave your phone on the side. Don't take any picture. Don't post any picture, and then you discuss. I mean, you know this, that how much we discuss every day, and I post nothing.
Right.
Out of that, nothing. That's the reason why I got this podcast, because there is so much interesting stuff that we discuss every day since last few years we are discussing.
Yep.
And I want all of that to come out, and people should know that you don't just become Yasir Khan, or you don't just transform like Aaron just by living that social life, living that perfect life on social media. There's a lot of harsh truth which you have to face, which we are going to discuss further. But as I said, like you spoke about the sun. So just on the sun, but not exactly the same. It comes from the west or east. But when people talk about not being disciplined is cool, not being disciplined is so, yo, man, I don't care about discipline. They don't realize, two, the biggest and the most important, let's say, points or reason the life exists is sun and the moon. And in the last millions or billions of years, they did not change their routine.
They're absolutely.
Who are we to change and not follow the routine, what has been created by God or the nature?
Absolutely.
You call it nature. We are a part of the same routine as the nature. Who are you to actually say, no, we are going to change the nature now? I mean, that's what is happening in today's time. And that's where the characteristic of men and women is just like going to completely in the opposite direction, where I believe they're not supposed to be opposite. They're supposed to be parallel, working together, helping together. And in this case, please don't think that I'm actually putting men down, but I have always said this. If you don't like today's women, if you don't like, not all, I'm not taking everyone, because my mother, my sister, your wife.
Oh yes, there are a lot of male examples.
Yeah, a lot of good examples out there. But what we see on social media and what we see out there in news channels, and especially in the West, majority of them, if you don't like them, don't just like them. Like, dislike the reason why they have become that.
Absolutely.
And the reason comes from the leader, because the leaders have become very weak. And these are men. If you see, there's a very, very good example which I can give you. I just saw a movie, The Way. Brandon Fraser, and he just won an Oscar for that. And I'm surprised that actually the Academy gave him the Oscar for this movie. I thought like they would never give him the Oscar. When I was watching that movie, I thought like this movie is going to end somewhere where they are going to support, or they are going to make it look good that this guy is actually overweight, but he's, oh, what a nice guy. Or he's going to transform, but no. It actually ended the way it is supposed to be ended.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guy was like, I don't know, they didn't say his weight. It must be like 200 plus kgs or something. That's what it looked like. Because I've been a lot of overweight people who are like 160, 170, 180 kgs. They can still walk. The guy could not even stand on his feet. And the time he stood on his feet in the end, I don't want to tell the secret of the end of the movie, but that you can watch it later, what happened next. But on his, and always remember, when you make one mistake in life and it's a blunder, you think like it's a mistake. That's what he was called. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. He kept saying that throughout the movie. But that mistake spoiled everything.
Absolutely.
That mistake, I don't want to talk about the, what's happening in the world right now, which is which is so obvious because everyone is talking about that. That's why I get this reference of the movie. If the people who are watching this podcast, they can just go and watch it and they will understand what I'm talking about, because the way they have described it, I don't think I will be able to describe it that well, because there's a lot of the whole production, the whole acting, the direction is phenomenal of that movie. And I know there's a lot of backlash towards the actor and towards the director and the whole crew. But I think I support that 100%. If you have done something wrong, you are going to pay the price. And it's not only you who pay the price. His wife paid the price. His sister-in-law paid the price. His daughter paid the price. Everyone who wanted to help him in many different ways, be it from the Christianity, from the God, or being it someone who really cared about him, who loved him, be it the wife, be it the daughter, whoever wanted to support and help this guy could not, because he was not ready to help himself. He was not ready to accept the help from the external, because internal, he has destroyed himself.
Yeah.
And it's a must watch.
It all boils down to the final thing that you cannot teach anyone anything. You can only make them think, right? Whatever you share with them
By, I think,
Socrates. So it's, you cannot teach anyone anything. You can only make them think. So whatever lessons you have taught me, what teach me, is only going to have effect if I think upon them.
Yeah.
And if I actually try to implement them in my life, right? And that's what we're doing here. We're going to just, talk free, talk about what we have on our minds and what we gather.
Yeah.
Then it's up to you guys to think, right? It's up to the people, the society, to think what we are saying, whether it is, valid or whether it's not valid, our worldview, whether it is valid, not valid.
Yeah.
You can think about it for yourselves. We're not trying to enforce any of our ideologies on people.
Exactly.
But we are going to speak truthfully what we believe and what society has become. And since you touched on the topic of masculinity, I think we can all agree that men on a general basis are just not masculine anymore. They are just, masculinity has been vilified if you're a man, and it has been praised if you're a woman. Femininity is praised if you're a man and vilified if you're a woman. So basically, whatever is traditionally made as, your biological, we are wired differently. Men, women are wired differently. But that doesn't mean to say that one is better than the other.
Yeah.
We work best in parallel, right? So we must focus on what is our strengths, and we must depend on the other to, to cover up for our weaknesses. So men have weaknesses, men have strengths. Women have weaknesses, women have strengths. And in the past, we look to our grandparents, we look to our parents. They worked together. They covered the other's weakness, and they used their strengths,
Right.
push it, the couple, or to push the family forward. But that's what's being ignored today. Today we are demanding women to be more masculine. We're demanding men to be more feminine. And of course, we're going to touch each of the examples of how I believe this is to be. But before we get into that, I'm just going to share something, because I do have these conversations even with my wife, because she very much aligns to my ideology.
Yeah.
And one of the things I said, and it's probably going to hurt a lot of people out there, is that it's fine. Go, you're driving in your car or you're walking on the street, look around you, tell me what is built by a woman. Now, I'm not insulting women. I'll get to the point, right? What is built by a woman? The road is built by a man. The manhole is built by a man. The lights are built by men. The buildings are built by a group of men working together. The electricity that you have, the phone in your hand, whatever screen you are watching me through this is built by a man. It feels like it's true. It's like, what have women contributed? She was thinking. And I was like, okay, now leave all the inanimate objects. Look at everything that's alive here. All the human beings that are walking around here is being created by a woman.
Exactly.
That's your superpower. But today they will tell you, if you choose to be a mother, if you choose to look after your children, you're not a strong woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a weak woman. Literally, they're telling you to avoid your superpower, right? That's like, let's talk about Superman, right? Why is he Superman? Because he's Clark Kent, the accountant or lawyer?
Yeah.
No, he's Superman because he has a superpower.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you can't be an accountant or a lawyer like Superman. I'm not saying...
But that will not make you a Superman.
Exactly. I'm not saying you can't have a job, a career like a man. You can have. But your superpower is this. something that a man can't do. We can't have children.
That never.
Yeah.
Like there is a law in the West. There is so much discussion happening that they can have it, and I don't laugh actually. I don't laugh at this. It makes me feel kind of, I would not say sad, but pity on these people. That from where are you thinking?
They have been misled. Right.
From where are you thinking?
Yeah.
That's it. And on this, since we're talking about men and women, what do you think that what do the people who are promoting it that women should not have their superpower, which is actually I think like it's one of the biggest and the most powerful thing. Imagine if my mother would have not cared about all of us and did not want to give birth to me.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be here and I would not be doing whatever I'm doing right now. And how many lives I have transformed, thousands of lives in my career. And in 21 years. And
all came from the one woman.
One woman. She made me. And I am helping the whole society. And my dad cannot claim that.
Yes.
Cannot claim that. It's him. No, it's my mother's upbringing. It's my mother. She bathed me for 9 months in her womb, in her tummy. It's for 9 months. I mean, my dad cannot do that, right?
And that's why
no one can do that.
And that's why when you see in like the movies like the Titanic or something,
yeah,
it's not misogyny. We don't think that women are weak. There's a reason why we say women and children first, because we are mindful that children are the future. That much is obvious. So we want to protect our future.
Yes.
Women have the superpower that we want to preserve. Men are considered by society to be disposable. Right? At the end of the day, men are considered to be disposable, but a man is built to handle that level of stress.
Yeah.
To be, and there was this experiment done by, I don't want to take a name, but some of you might know, there was this feminist personality who wanted to prove that men have it easy in life. And she actually transitioned into a man, lived, the goal was to live 2 years as a man, and I think it was 18 months, which is not 2 years, 24 months. By the 18th month, she committed suicide. Because suicide. Yeah, exactly.
Who did that?
I don't remember her name, but it is there. I was here to Google it. So yeah, you can Google.
Guys can.
Anyone can Google it. It's not my story. It's out there. Google. I mean, like to committed suicide
by becoming a man.
Yeah, by trying to prove that a man's life is easy. I'm not saying a man's life is harder than a woman's life. We both have our struggles, but that's why we need to work together.
But that's the thing that women don't think that we as men, I mean, I'm not putting nail polish and I'm not like doing, makeup, sitting at home and like, oh, darling, come home and, like I'll cook for you and I'll clean the house and I'll be like, nah, I don't want to do that because the reason is this is what today's generation just don't understand, which I think you can explain this better. Because you're married. I'm not married, so I'm not the right person to actually speak from the wife's side, which you can clearly. Like, when it comes to that husband and wife in the relationship, what inspires, what motivates you to do more? What if your wife was not feminine and she was not preserved her femininity? So, from where would you get the inspiration? And why would you want to do more and go through the hardships and the pain? And
Absolutely. See, as men, we are expected, if we are raised with the right values, we are expected to go out there and fight against the world, right? And the last thing, and fighting is a very, very masculine trait, right? It's all about masculinity. That ability to fight and come out on top is a very masculine trait. Now, I'm not saying women can't do it, but if they are doing it, they have to be masculine to do it, right? So, okay, a woman living alone, I'll ask a simple question. A woman living alone, supporting herself, needs to be masculine to a certain degree. Of course, she has a femininity, but she needs to be masculine. But a man living on his own doesn't need to be feminine. Exactly. So, number one, why you're not able to live in any further? Yeah. So, why is masculinity toxic? So, when men go out there and when they work and when they come back home, they want a measure of peace.
Yeah.
And you are not prepared to fight with your spouse who is constantly argumentative. You want a peace of mind. she is supposed to, protect you when you're in the home. When you're out in the world, it's your duty as man. I believe, at least, it's your duty as man to protect your family. But in the home, that's the woman's domain.
I think believe I would not say like protect. I would say like manage. Yeah, that you are in that comfortable mindset and you can recharge for the next day.
Exactly.
You can, because I believe life is a war.
Yes.
That's since I have come to this world since I have opened my eyes, or I came in my senses, that I came in my, as you know, that I came in my senses very early age, at the age of 4, right? As I entered the madrasa, and the first day it was madrasa, and I was like carrying my small suitcase and just like walking. And when I entered there, I was like, I saw a couple of boys and, the teachers, they were like dumping a man upside down in the well, in the water, and pulling him again and dumping him again. That was the first experience. And that gave me the shock, which I was like, that's the punishment you would get of if you have stolen something from someone. He did something more than just steal it. He beat the shit out of someone, and then that was his punishment. But whatever it was, so I had to, oh man, wake up. You're not at home now. If you make a mistake, this is what is going to happen to you. You have to face that. So when I came in my senses, I realized that I'm just like, what? I need to protect myself. Anyone and everyone can just come and hit me and kill me.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think at that time, when it comes to when you come home, because you're just, the next day is another war, and just a new day and new war. You have to fight. It's another fight.
Absolutely. And that's why, like, men who are especially masculine, who, go out there and fight every day, when they come back home, they want that measure of peace. So they prefer a feminine woman. Now, I'm not saying that, in fact, you might think that I'm a misogynist for saying these things, but actually, for me, I appreciate femininity, right? As much as I appreciate masculinity in men, I appreciate femininity in women. I do not consider it to be inferior in it. A feminine woman is as powerful in my eyes as a masculine man, because that takes a strength of a different kind, a strength we cannot handle, of course. In the same way that we were talking about that feminist who committed suicide, you're not wired as a woman to handle that kind of stress as a man. Yes, you can work. Yes, you can do the things that men do, because society supports you as a woman.
Exactly.
But the time you choose to become a man, right? The time you choose to live as a man, nobody cares about your feelings. Nobody cares about anything. You're on your own. Now try to do the things that men do on your own, without anyone caring for what you think or what you do. And I know I can say this right now, because whatever I say is what I think. And maybe 80% of you won't care. 80% of you will not care.
As I said, like,
maybe 90.
If you're telling the truth, they are not accepting the truth, will not change the truth. Truth will stay the truth, even if they support it, they don't support it. Because the truth, why we say the truth? Because I believe truth is whatever is aligned with nature is ultimate truth. And anything, whatever we're discussing, is aligned with nature. And if you don't support that, you don't support the nature. And when you don't support the nature, it's going to come back to you, and you're going to suffer in your life.
Absolutely. I always believe that, I was just telling you this story, and it's a very personal story to me, but I was just telling it to you today. We did our beach workout, and I was telling about the time when I was young and I was studying in university in Canada, and my father, he wanted to invest in me. So he said, son, I will give you some money. Think of a business idea. You want to invest, settle down in Canada. And I thought, I'm in a university place, and one of the things that these university people do is that they drink, they party, they club.
Yeah.
And I saw a perfect location. And I told Dad, you know what, if you invest this much in me, I'll open this nightclub. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, nightclub. And
what was the investment by?
It was not much. It was maybe at most it would be, because property was cheap over there, at most it could come to a couple of $1 million.
Right? Okay. $4 5 million. $2 million.
Around 2, not more like that.
Which is like 10 million there.
Yeah. If we're not talking about the usable goods, like the ice was how many years? This was 2009. 2009.
So those $2 million is literally today $10 million.
Yeah, probably more.
So yeah. So I don't know.
So anyways, this is what my father said to me. He said, no, I'm not going to let you do that, because you will ruin people's lives. And at that time, I didn't understand him. And I told you that I argued with him. I said, it's people's freedom to choose whether to come to my nightclub or not come to my nightclub. I'm not going to do it there. So I know what I'm not supposed to do. But if other people choose to make poor choices, it's on them. It's not on me.
Yeah.
I've presented the temptation, and I take no accountability for that, right? And my father disagreed. So eventually, obviously, I did invest in that, and someone else did, and I explained to you how much money they make on a yearly basis. They make good money, just amazing money, and
All the numbers, how much money they make, because I know what you're going to say further.
tens of millions. Let's say tens of.
So let's say that if you would have invested $2 million, you would be making per year at least a profit of
Around 50.
50 million per year.
Absolutely.
So 50 million profit, your dad did not choose to pay.
No, because of the principles, which I didn't understand at that time.
So what did he say?
He said, you are ruining other people's lives
Why?
because you're giving them this temptation which will not make them focus on what they're there for. It's a university city. So it's one of those cities, like for those of you familiar with India, it's like Manipal, where they're only predominantly university students.
Mm.
So that's why the idea of a nightclub sells, because this is what university students want to do. They want to enjoy, they want to party. But I'm presenting that distraction and diverting them from what their actual goal is there for. So parents from around the world send their children to this university place in the hopes that they would study. But what I was trying to do was, here's your distraction, And at that time, I didn't understand my father, right? And
Did you fight with your father? Did you find it a lot? What was your reaction?
a lot, because
How much? I mean, just because, like many people, when kids start crying, they just give it. These days, the most common thing, actually, this happens in my own family, and I just don't like it. For an example, if the kid is not eating, here is the iPad and the phone and the television. So kids cry, they don't eat, right? So how much did you cry and you were 20 years old?
Yeah, I didn't cry.
How much did you fight?
I fought a lot because, again, my ideology was different at that time, and that's the thing about ideology. It can change, right? As you grow and as you accumulate more experience in life, you learn and you become more wise. For me, it was, yes, money.
Just tell me, how much did you fight? I really want to know that.
I fought a lot. I gave him a comparison of the actual guy who did it. He was of East Asian origin, and he made a kill, as I told you.
$50 million, which is crazy, man.
Yeah, it was driving. I saw him driving around supercars in that city. He was like,
Because of where he invested.
exactly.
And you did not. And your dad did not care after that also.
And that is like better to not be rich than to have those values, right? Like than to have the values to invest in such a kind of thing that's ruining people's lives. And I always thought it was me versus them. I don't care if people's lives are ruined, and there's complete change in my personality now. I speak things even though they are hurtful because I earnestly want to help people improve their lives, right? So there's a complete different personality. I think the younger me would not get along well with my dad, and did not, obviously. But the new me kind of gets along well with my father.
What did you understand by what he said? Like, if you can explain now. So then Aaron right now who's sitting here in front of me, what is your take on this decision, what he has made? Because as per the materialism or the capitalism, or you call it the today's society, it was, as per the society, it's a very bad move from your father and it's a very good move from you.
Yeah.
And so what does Aaron understand by that?
So now, of course, for those of you who know me, like I've recently become a father, and as you mentioned this, what goes around comes around, right? Now, I might not participate in this nightclub behavior. Even though I own a nightclub, I might not drink alcohol, I might not smoke, I might not do all of the things, but I'm presenting the opportunity for other people to do so.
But it's their choice.
It's their choice.
Yeah.
It's their choice. Let's go with that narrative. Now, they grow up, they're going to have, they are already grown up, but they're going to have children who are going to grow up, and they're going to interact with my children. Those children have learned those values from those parents. Now, I'm one owner of a nightclub, and there may be 1,000 people in that nightclub. So there are going to be 1,000 children who learned 1,000 wrong things from their parents, and I have one child who is going to, so obviously
My way to come in the same society.
with the other 1,000 children.
Exactly.
So what's the odds of my child eventually falling in the same grave I was digging for other people?
Exactly. Now you know why it took me 20 years to open TYB. 20 years, because I had opportunities 15 years ago, 10 years ago, many opportunities to become rich, many opportunities to do well. But as you said, very, very nicely you said, because we believe the same. And so, I met you like nearly 3 years ago, and you were not like this at all, right? And you were completely a different guy. And I remember, there was a time you did not lose weight. You were crying about it. You were very upset. You were like throwing your tantrums like a kid, literally like a kid. I can say it today because now we are on the other side, and you can understand this as well. And like how difficult it is for me to I would not say, because I know the people are watching, they're just going to take it very negatively. Oh, he's a coach. He's getting paid for this. I'm not getting paid for taking anyone's tantrum. I'm not getting paid for, receiving calls and messagings at the middle of the night and helping them, and first thing in the morning calling them. I'm not getting paid for that. I'm just getting paid for training, and that's what I provide, the services I provide. But why do I go extra? Because I don't see it like a work. I see it like a good service I'm helping the society to build. So what do you think, like, let's discuss your 3 years journey with, right? And how it's so different that you have changed as a man, and you have transformed once. You have reached from 110 kgs to 76 kgs.
Yes.
You have achieved your body. You have lost that body and destroyed it. And you came back to me again, and you started doing that again. And now you are almost 70% to where you were, like, if I would call that 100% what you were before. You have reached 65, 70% already in the past 3-4 months.
Yes.
I would say, for me, where you should be, you're just 30%. So you have 70% more to achieve, but 30% to where you have left.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have these 3 years, nearly 3 years, isn't it?
Yes.
Nearly 3 years, 2.5 years. So nearly 3 years. How would you describe your journey, and what are these, the differences, which, one thing before you speak, because I know the people, the audience who are going to watch right now, Yasir is boasting about himself because this is what he does. My answer to these people, when you go out, drink, party, when you're eating all the shit, all the rubbish, aren't you boasting about it by posting it? So you can boast about the negative when I am talking about the positive, which is going to improve and change someone's life. Maybe it's yours or your kids. So I am boasting about it. Don't you think it's not me boasting it? It's actually the truth, a harsh truth, which is hurting you right now, which is hurting you, and you just cannot take it. Oh, why am I not doing something so good, and he's talking about it? Why don't I understand this? You know what I'm saying, right? So before you call it that I'm boasting about it, no, it's not the boasting. It is the harsh truth, and it is the ultimate truth which can change someone's life. And if you don't understand this right now, your kids are going to pay the price later. It's not me wishing bad on anyone. No, I am here to help. And the people who actually work with me closely, that's what Aaron is going to describe now. Let's not take my name that I did that. Let's say TYB, okay? Let's say, I don't know. On what I mean, if it's not me, then go.
Yeah, we'll speak about.
Yeah, and you have worked closely with me personally. You did not work with my team or the outside, because this is something I keep hearing. I keep listening from people that post, they constantly comment, they send messages. Oh, Yasir is talking about what he has done. Yes, I did it. Yes, that's me who did it. So I don't know how to. Like anything negative. Good on you, good job. People support the negative so much. When you talk about the positive, stop showing up. Why don't you say someone is showing the Bugatti, someone is showing the Ferrari, someone is showing the Mercedes, someone is showing the big house, someone is showing all the material, someone is showing the parties, someone is showing the drinks, someone is showing the money, someone is showing their suit, someone is anything and everything. You stop boasting about it. Just start boasting about it, right? But no, that's the negative. That's what the society is. They want to support that. Whatever is easy to support, whatever is hard is difficult, and what's right, stop it right there so that this person stop telling the truth. But I won't.
I think when it comes to my transformation with you, I divide it into 2 phases because, as you mentioned, I achieved something that was 100% of that, not 100% of what we want.
Yeah.
Then I deteriorated. Now I'm back to 70% of what I was. obesity, which is 30% of what we eventually want. So it's in 2 phases, or 3 phases rather. The improvement to the first 100%, my decline, which was you were not involved then. I was away from TYB, I was away from you for whatever stupid reasons. I cannot think of any proper reason. Even if you ask me today, I cannot think of a proper reason. And all I can make up for that,
Why you decline?
yeah, all I can make up is bullshit, which I don't think.
You know the reason. Because before you decline, you're talking about that after the...
Yeah,
So before you decline, if you remember, for many months I was telling you, Aaron, you're going wrong. You're going wrong. Aaron, you're going to completely flip. Aaron, you're going to completely deteriorate. You're deteriorating. And I think first few times I have spoken to you, then I have spoken to Dia, then we all have spoken together. There was one more person. We all 3 of us spoken. And then I shouted at you. I literally, like when I'm in the person, man to man, I'm talking, I abuse and I do whatever the way I want. Because in the end, I've said it politely, I've said it with anger, I've said it with request, I've said, then there is something is left because there's nothing is left. Okay, man, just enjoy yourself now.
No, when I said there's no reason as to why I declined, I didn't mean to say that there is a reason. There is a reason, but it's all not see. But it's not a reason worth mentioning in the sense that it's a stupid reason.
No. You should mention it. Because you need to understand.
How can I justify the reason?
No,
It's unjustifiable.
You're saying it in a different way. What I'm trying to
If I go jump from a building, it's a stupid decision. Now I can whatever reason for why I jumped from a building.
But the people should know that why did you jump from the building, right? And so why did you have gone the complete? Because I tell you, it was the surrounding, and you became the best in your surrounding.
Absolutely.
Right? So you were the smartest in that room,
Yeah.
and you could not grow further because you were just praised by everyone. You were looking the best. You were looking literally like Brad Pitt, and you were like handsome man, tall, with good muscle mass, crazy physique. You have blessed with everything, alhamdulillah, with your wife, and now you have a daughter, with your family, money, material, everything, and the knowledge and the wisdom. At the brain, the education, you have everything. And what was lacking was just a physique. Now you have achieved that physique. And in that role, you became the best. And when you are in a role where you're surrounded by lesser people, what happened? That's what happened to you.
You become complacent, you deteriorate. Yep.
What was your mindset when you were deteriorating?
There was no firm mindset because I think that people are only, when people are declining, right? They live in a blissful ignorance, right? They don't, like I remember when I came back to you, let's say phase 3, right? When I came back to you and I wasn't losing weight immediately, I was so upset about it, like, because I was putting in the work, I was doing all of this. And then you just asked me a simple thing, 6 months where you were gaining weight, why weren't you upset then?
Yeah.
And that's because the mentality, right? When you're living in that mentality, you just don't care. You're like carefree, which is a bad way of being carefree because you're just letting yourself go. You don't really care about yourself. I mean, what is carefree? It's a horrible word. You don't care about yourself. That's what carefree is. Yeah, I want to live a carefree life. You don't care about yourself. I mean, what bigger insult could you give to yourself, right? Like, I'm a guy, reached almost, as you mentioned, Brad Pitt body. And then I went from that to like almost 95 kilos.
And what did I call you when it came out?
Right. Absolutely. You called me, and some people think Yasir is very harsh, but I can guarantee you the harshest things he has said are to me, and I take that in a positive stride, right? I don't, of course it's hurtful, but I know it's the truth. So it's always the intentions of
why it is hurtful when I'm telling you something, because it is the truth.
It is the truth. Yeah, the truth hurts. Yeah, absolutely.
When I tell you something to please you, it's not going to hurt you. The life.
Absolutely. But I take it in the positive because I look at the intentions which you're telling me with, right? Like what we're discussing right now might be highly controversial, might hurt some of you out there, but don't look at the message, look at the intent. Why are we trying to discuss these things? What is our intent? Are we trying to hurt you? I don't think that's the intent of this podcast. Not at all. Not the
intent of this podcast is to aware people. Because everyone, either they want a success like me, or they want a transformation success like you.
Absolutely.
We two people are sitting here. We both are the outcome of what we are discussing right now. And if people do not adapt to this mindset, they will not succeed in the first place. I mean, this is one thing. Sorry to interrupt you in what you were saying, because I want to make this very clear over here to the people who are watching right now, because we have discussed this, and I told you I think yesterday when we were training legs, 1% of in the world, the people, 1% people who are the most successful people, and they, let's say 2-3% of the most poorer people, they both are the most religious people. The best or the worst, they are the most religious people. Where if you find anyone who is atheist, who doesn't believe in God, it's like, yeah, I believe in universe, I believe in nature, I believe in that, but they don't believe in God, is between that. They're not super powerful, they're not super rich, neither they are super poor or the worst. They're in between, the mediocre. The mediocre are the ones who are, majority of them are atheists, and they are, whatever the wrong is happening is this, the 1% which controls the world, they are super religious people. Super religious to the point, because they are razor sharp. They know what they are doing. And anyone who comes to me and say like, I don't know what is the purpose of my life, and I ask them like, are you a religious person? I'm not saying like, okay, follow Islam or Christianity or being any particular religion. If this person says like, yes, I am, I say like, do you practice your religion? Yes, I do practice that. It's impossible that you don't have a purpose for your life. That's impossible. Now, if you tell me I am religious, but I don't follow, I don't practice it, yes, you don't have a purpose. Because it's there. I mean, who, as I said, who are you to go against the sun and moon and say like, I will do something the opposite? They could not do it the opposite. And they have never succeeded. Who are you? I mean, there were many successful people, many people who have done right and wrong, and they died, and no one knows their name. You will be just one of them. I mean, we will be just one of them. Absolutely. But at least live your life, give properly, give back to the society.
Give back to the society. That's what leaves a legacy, right? Like we don't, like when we talk about all the great figures in history, we don't talk about how much money they made. Like, I don't know how rich Alexander was. I don't know how rich Julius Caesar was. I mean, I can maybe find it in a textbook. Maybe it might be recorded, or sometimes that information is not even recorded, right? What I do know is what is their legacy, what they've left behind in the world.
Same thing goes back to, I know it will be a very controversial topic, which I'm just going to say. Same thing goes back to the Jerusalem, right? Where Saladin conquered Jerusalem, and what was that war?
Third Crusade, or the prelude to the Third
Crusade, right? Yeah, when he conquered the Jerusalem, and whoever was, he was
Balin,
yeah. When he asked the question, so what Jerusalem worth to you? He said nothing, and everything.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, if you compare it with the financial gain or the
strategic importance,
was actually you see as whole the power, it's everything. But if you see, oh, there are many much more better countries, better places, better cities, which has more, wealth, and just resources are better, climate is better, everything is better. But it's just yours. And one of them, I mean, that we are not discussing the religion over here, or the history, because then we have to spend, I think, 5 hours discussing Jerusalem, which I don't want to discuss right now. Maybe someday in the future we should sit down with proper facts, because I don't want to take something, as I said, like, I'm not the scholar, neither he is the scholar. We both are on the same page, and we respect each other's religion and all the religion in this world, because we believe, Aaron and I I can speak from your side, right?
Yes, sir.
We both believe in all the religion, and we believe in the people who believes in the religion and follow the same path, because that's the ultimate truth, and that actually helps a lot to create a better society. If you really follow any religion by the book, you will never harm others. You will never live a life which is not useful to others, you will never live a life which has no purpose, and you will always be not just useful, but you yourself will find that you have a meaning. The actions you're putting into in everyday life, you will find a lot of meaning in that. And I think that's why we prefer Stoicism, because the Stoic philosophy is also a lot of related to our religion,
religious train of thoughts. Yes, and as you mentioned, like someone who associates themselves to a religion and doesn't really follow that, that shows a lack of discipline, right? So I myself am Christian, but if I don't follow the Christian faith as what is being described, then I'm not being disciplined in my belief, right? And that itself kind of shows that I cannot be disciplined in other aspects of my life.
Yes.
So, which is why, as you mentioned, the top 1 percentile, they're very orthodox in their faith, right? One of the things that people say nowadays is that, oh, I have the freedom to do whatever I want. I have the freedom to do, I don't have to be disciplined. I can do whatever I want, right? And they consider as being disciplined, doing the same thing. Me waking up, and I've got this from society. I've got people telling me some things which most people would consider hurtful, but I consider it to be the highest of compliments, and I'll explain why. That I wake up, I go every day, early morning, we train early in the morning. I sleep early, so I leave whatever social gathering, if I do go to, which is very less nowadays, I leave that early. I don't drink. I've stopped consuming. So people are like, what freedom do you have? What freedom do you have? It's so disciplined. You're waking up. Okay. That is my freedom. You know why? My discipline is my freedom. Because can you do it for 1 month? Can you do it? You have the freedom. Do it with your freedom. Use your freedom to do what I do for 1 month. And if your answer is no, you cannot do it, then you're not free. You know why? Because you are the slave master of yourself.
You are the slave of the external force.
You're the slave of your own mind.
Yes.
If you cannot discipline your mind.
Exactly.
So people always consider the lack of freedom as being something external, right? If I'm not free, and that's because we look at history when we talk about slavery and freedom, we look at, okay, there's X people who enslaved Y people, right? And there were Y people who were the slaves of Z people. But people often tend to forget that there's a master in here, and this master controls everything. And if you don't control this master, then you are the slave of the mind.
Yes.
Right? If I cannot tell my mind that, oh yeah, this is easy, I can have a drink, or I can do this, that's because my mind is constantly fighting with me. And if I cannot control my mind, then I'm a slave of my own mind.
Yeah.
So what freedom do you have? If you see a drink of alcohol, and if someone tells you, come on, have a drink with me, and your mind is like, yeah, I really won't have that drink. What freedom is that?
You're a slave.
You're a slave to that mind, right? What is me actually telling you, no, I don't want to have that drink. But my mind right now is telling me, yeah, man, I know what it's like. I've consumed alcohol. I know what it's like. It wouldn't be so widespread if it wasn't enjoyable.
Right.
I'm not saying it's right, but it's enjoyable. So I know it's a good time. But me telling my brain that, no, you're not getting your way, is me being the master of my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm not the slave of my mind. And that's why when I was talking about 3 phases of my transformation with DYB, it's like watching any complex movie. If you watch Inception, maybe you need 2-3 times to understand the real movie. So my training with you was like watching a movie, with a very good protagonist. So phase 1 was like looking at this guy, not truly understanding what he's all about. Phase 2 was my decline, so let's not talk about that. Phase 3, when I came back, I realized that that's what Yasir is all about. He is no different from the rest of us. He faces the same decisions we have to make in life. The only difference is his choices. Of course, he likes sweets. He's not different. He's human, just like us. Some days he doesn't feel like he wants to gym, right? Maybe he's tired, or maybe he's sore from the previous day workout, or maybe he didn't have enough sleep. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you still push yourself. I remember this one day, and I smiled at you, and I told you why. You came to the gym, and we were doing this different kind of training, and we'll discuss more about that during Ramadan, where we had this functional training mixed with circuit training, and we consider the functional training, which is mobility, to be a lot more intense, right? As opposed to the circuit training, which is something more you and I, we prefer. We prefer any form of strength training, but something to do with mobility and all that highly increases the heart rate. We tend to not like it. And I remember you came in and you told me, what day is it today? You asked me what day, and I said, yeah, sir, it's functional day. And then you said something like, okay, I think maybe let's do circuit today. So I knew that, okay, you are not in the mood to do what you're supposed to do today, right? And so we were just warming up on the treadmill. And the minute we got off the treadmill, the first thing you did was you walked towards the side of the gym in which we do functional training. So I smiled at that because I knew deep down inside you really didn't want to do functional that day, but you did it.
Yeah.
You made the choice to do it anyways. I didn't influence that choice, obviously. You did it anyways. And that reminds me that we're not all that different. Yes, I do have feelings that, yeah, I don't want to do it. But the only difference between you and me or anyone else is that you choose to do it despite that.
Yeah.
Point to me any person who is morbidly obese today. I'm sorry, I'm not going to call you plus size. And if you feel that fat is offensive, I'm going to use the term what it actually is. It's morbid obesity.
What is it exactly?
Morbid obesity.
What does it mean?
Morbid means like fatal, like,
Okay, dangerous. It's khatarnak.
Yes,
Khatarnak, right?
it's dangerous because that's what you are. You can say whatever it is, you can sugarcoat it however it is, and I advise you don't sugarcoat it because you clearly had enough sugar, right? So please don't sugarcoat it, right?
Yeah.
You desire a better body. The only difference is you don't make the same choice.
You're just unable to make the choice.
You're unable to make the hard choice. So I'm not saying this as an insult to you. I'm saying it is possible to make the right choice. You are capable of it. You are stronger than you know it. Right? Don't accept defeat. Don't accept defeat. Falling down is not failure. Falling down and staying there, that's a failure.
Staying there.
Staying there is a failure. So you were talking about that movie, The Way. And again, I'm not going to give spoilers. I haven't watched the movie myself, so I am very interested to see the movie now that you have mentioned it. But judging from what I heard, there are only two outcomes to that movie. He stays where he is, and therefore he's a failure at the end of the movie, or he rises up and he becomes a success. And I'm curious to see what the ending is and to understand whether he's a success or whether he's a...
I genuinely want everyone to go and watch that movie because I don't suggest movies. Nowadays, yes, there are many movies which we will talk about it in after a while, which we love, which we have seen. But in today's time, what I have seen just yesterday only, The Whale, must watch it. It doesn't matter whatever you think and whatever you feel, whatever you support in today's time, because it's a free world. You can be whatever you want to be, as I said, and as we all know in today's time, you can become whatever you want to become. But I chose to become and be the way I was born, the way I was raised, and the way, the society, I would not say like the way the society expect me to be, but the way the society is required me to be. The society needs a man like me. So I would love to become, and this is just the start of me becoming. Because if I was born poor and if I die poor, yes, it's my fault. But if I die with a lot of goodness with me, a lot of, I have given back to the society and a lot of richness. Richness, don't mistake. When I say rich, doesn't mean the money. Rich means good habits. Rich means the lifestyle. Rich means how many people I have influenced and how many people I have transformed, or how many people I have literally, put on the right track, on the right path, how many people I have helped, how many people I have educated. Educated, again, don't mistake me by the degrees and the mark sheets or your diplomas and the certificates, by educating their mind towards the right, towards the good, making them more aware, awakening them. If I die with all of this goodness, I'm not a poor man. I'm not at all a poor man.
No, absolutely.
And so in three phases, you said like the third phase
is where I understood that you're as human. You know,
when we traveled to the Greece, right? We were in Greece, and I called you, and you guys, I think, didn't know that actually someone like me can have cravings as well. I was still following my diet over there, and I was making you guys also to stick to the plan and making you follow. And we actually came back with better physique, lost 1.5 kgs weight over there, and enjoyed the trip and came back, right? We came back with like 1.5 to 1 kg weight loss, all of us. And one of the nights when we, so I think Leah bought some chocolates, right?
Now you
Dark chocolates, right? And I think I had one packet or two packets. I don't know.
We kept the packets in your room.
In my room.
Yeah.
Then I called you in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Please take these chocolates away from my room because I will finish them, because you were like,
I started eating, right?
Started eating quite a lot of them. I finished half the bar.
Half the bar.
But yeah, that's, as I was saying, it's people tend to, consider you to be a different creature.
Human, why? Especially in our community, Indian community. Why do they? Because you know many people. Why do they consider me like a
Different creature.
different? Again, if you guys think I'm boasting about my skills, it's not the boast. It's a negative actually. They don't talk positive about it. They talk negative about it.
If anything, by considering you a negative creature, I think it has two psychological impacts.
Yeah.
One is they're downplaying your achievement because, you're different, right? Like if a monkey can climb a tree and I can't climb a tree as good, then obviously there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
Right? Like if a fish can swim much better than me, and if I say, oh yeah, okay, this guy is a fish, that means I'm not accepting my own deficiency, right? Like, so by claiming that you're a different creature, animal, whatever they want to call it, a machine, and which is what I did in phase 1, by the way. Not externally, I never told anyone, but I believed it, that you were a machine, something that was not the same as the rest of us. You downplay the hard work it took for you to get where you are at, right? That's number one. 2, it kind of pacifies me into believing that, okay, yeah, Yasir Khan, I cannot be like him because he's a machine. I'm a human. I cannot be Yasir Khan. But when you realize that he's human, he has the same temptations, or he faces the same temptations you face, and the only difference between me and you is the choices you have made in your life. And the choices I've made in my life is why I'm sitting here, and the choices what you made in your life is why you're sitting there, is when I can actually start to accept the reality and try to do what you're doing to achieve maybe what you've achieved, maybe in the physical aspect, like your physique, right? But if I think that Yasir Khan is a machine or anyone else is a machine, I can never achieve what he has achieved because I'm lying to myself that is something I need to be built differently, right?
And we all are same in this.
Absolutely.
Scientifically, and the creature of God or the species, one of the advanced and the most intellectual, I would say. I think we all have the same. As human, we are all just, our choices make different. The habits makes, as I said, I always say this thing that there are no great people, there are only great habits. No, there are no great, only great habits. And where this comes from, that the kind, my work ethics and all that, while I was growing up. So I've always fought with my dad. I've always I've never, while I was growing up, it was very difficult for me to actually accept what he did to me. He sent me to mother's side at the age of 4. He left me there for 2 years, and I came back. I was rotten, literally. My head was rotting, my skin everywhere, it was like rotting. And when I came back, I was sick, I was depressed, I was just out of this world. And as people started, oh, what you did to this kid, and what, like all my aunts and everyone, because everyone's kid was like very well protected, very well, they all were going to schools, and I came back, oh my God, so that's how kids live. And then everyone was like pointing finger at my dad, and that's what he started doing. That's what I started doing, and that's what my mother was very, very upset. I mean, you can imagine how a mother's heart when you send your only son at the age of 4 to a mother's, and what do you expect how the mother is going to care? And she threatened my dad many times that I'm going to leave you, and because you have not given us anything, blah blah blah, all of that, whatever the household drama, basically, I would say. So, and that's what I believed, and I have while I was growing up, and I've seen, like, okay, we did not have fan, we did not have a cooler, we did not have a proper roof, we did not have a proper, and sometimes the snake is coming out of the walls, the walls, the roof, the floor. Yeah. Sometimes the big goose, like a big mouse coming away from one side to the another side. It's raining, dripping the whole house, and every time it used to happen, it was my dad who was like just taking all the shit from everyone, and whoever would come to my house, they would just look us so down that this family is not going to have a good future at all, because this is what. And now, icing on the cake, I was not even educated. That's even worse. I was how the society is going to expect me. So when people talk all of this negative about me, and whatever they think and they say about me, they don't know the story. They don't realize where I have come from and what I have done and how I have reached where I have reached, and what kind of mentality, what kind of ethics it took me to be where I am today. Because my biggest concern was always, what if someone will ask me for my mark sheet? Because I will never get a job. I will never get my first one opportunity because I don't have any skill. I don't have the education. I don't have that backup. My dad has never done it. I mean, he did not even have a license. He did not even have a passport. All of that happened after I have grown up and after I started making money. Even his driver's license, even his bank account. Imagine, even the electricity meter was not on our name. I always had to go to my uncle and my aunts for them to ask for the electricity bill or even for the money for just small little things. Because my dad has always, because he was the youngest in the family, so he always had to ask from everyone. I know there's a lot of my family members are going to watch this, but as I said, I love and I respect everyone right now. And this is why this is not the full truth what I'm speaking now. What I'm going to speak further is going to make the whole story come. It will be the complete story then. So I've always thought like, what kind of father he is, what he is doing. And now in today's time, when I am at that position, though I have, alhamdulillah, I have money, I have people, I have support, I have everything. But the kind of issues I face, because dealing just with my clients every day, when they are constantly not listening to me, when they're constantly not following the program, and I know how much good I want to create, I hope, and I wish I don't use this word wish, but I wish, because this is external I'm talking about, the external powers, that the people, I wish that people can actually understand my intent, that how much good and how much I want to change and improve your life, and how much I want to help your family and this society and this community, and to make you or anyone live a better life. How much I wish that they can just see that and they will know what I'm all about. So, but the worst thing is, like, when I want to do the good and they revert back with negativity by putting me down, letting me down, saying things which actually shake my heart and shake my entire well-being. That, oh, he is this and he is that. How can he say things like that? How can he say things? I mean, you are living that life. Why can't I say it? Don't you know that how much it's hurting you and how much it's hurting you? I mean, you are sitting in front of me. I'm not talking about that guy. How much it hurt you to live the life you were living, and how much it hurts Dia, and how much it hurts your parents, and how much do you think that Aaron who met me 3 years ago, would you like to present that Aaron to your daughter now?
No, absolutely not.
Right? No, so I wouldn't want to face. Now, exactly. Now, imagine, all the men, they work so hard to provide all the materialistic and don't give time, don't give values to their kids, but they provide all the money, but nothing is there, right? Now, imagine, now I will compare you with my dad. He did not do all of that. But today, when I compare all my failures, and every time I am falling down and rising up again, I'm falling down and I'm constantly like fighting with the society, with the bad, by being the good force and constantly being so strong. 21 years, it's not like not 21 days, 21 years. I just visualize that man, or I just imagine my dad, because whatever we were going through, he was going through the same, even worse. But he didn't say, "Oof." He didn't say, "Why don't you guys see that I'm going through the same shit? Why don't you guys see that if there is water coming in this house, and there are animals coming in this house, why don't you guys see if your bed is not proper, mine is worse?" He always slept on the floor, always. He still sleeps on the floor. Yes, that's a lot. Many people know this. My dad still sleeps without the thickness of the mattress. He sleeps on the floor still. And those days, he made us sleep on the bed. Okay, whatever the shitty bed it was, but he made us sleep on the bed. And while there were snakes and all the goose and all the animals were coming out from down, he was sleeping down. He was ready to die before us. That's the ethics. And the kind of person you were before, would you choose that man, and would you choose to become like my dad, to present to your daughter?
Absolutely. To become more of the the masculine person, obviously.
Because these are the things, as I said, like material, it deteriorates.
Yeah.
Everything. Like for an example, even the education, how the education was 30 years ago and how education is right now. You had to literally read a book to understand something. Right now, you just need to Google, which will take 2 seconds and you will have the answer. You're not even opening a book and searching something right now. How much education has changed? Even education has deteriorated.
Yes. Education is not what it used to be, or it never was anyways what it is, because recently we saw, another podcast of yours, and I left a comment there, especially criticizing how education is today, because education really doesn't focus on the things that matter in life. That's my personal opinion on how the syllabus is today across the board, any country. They do not focus a lot on, leading a healthy lifestyle. They do not focus on how to build stronger relationships, which is why you're seeing the decline of the family units. They are not teaching proper financial management. Okay, you might say that, I studied financial management. What did you study? Exactly. That's helping you. If you say that you're studied in a finance background and you have a lot of credit card loans because you want to buy materialistic goods, then clearly they haven't taught you well. Clearly they haven't taught you well, because again, you're managing finances, and I'm not the best person to speak about this. There are a lot of people who are financially a lot more successful than I am, and they can give you better advice. And this is one of the reasons why I'm talking about this, is because I feel that this is something that could have really assisted me in my life, right? Like understanding how to manage your finances. Yes, they teach you how to earn money, but what to do with the money, right? Okay, yes, I need to be a doctor to earn money, to get money from my boss, or I need to be an engineer to get money from my boss. How am I supposed to budget that money? After I earn that money, how am I supposed to budget it? How am I supposed to spend it equally among my family, equally among investments, equally? That is something, maybe it's taught as a course that you have to seek out.
Isn't that in our religion also? That how to manage your finances?
It is there.
I mean, is there in Quran? Is it there in Bible?
It is there.
Must be there.
It is there.
That there is certain like 10% charity.
Yes.
This much you spend to your family. This much you invest. This much you do this, and how much you should spend on your health and your well-being. What kind of material you should buy. You should always have a good. So it's simple answer. You should always have a good savari. Savari is like your car, which takes you from A to B. You should always have a good one, not something. If you can afford it, have a good one. And it's because you need to have wear always nice, clean clothes. Always your clothes should represent you. Always be. I mean, all these things are there in religion, and the basics of I would say. Because maybe as per today's time, because the capitalism has changed the idea of money, which I understand as from materialism, socialism, capitalism, all of these three things, the way it has controlled the money is very different these days. Because if they will give you little and you keep doing and you stay in that trap constantly, and they keep giving you that little, you stay in that trap, you are going to give back to them more. It's like, let's say the tax, let's say the pharmaceutical, medical, the food industry, you're just giving back. In the end, you find the time you reach to your 60s, 70s, the time then you say like, oh shit, I did not live my life properly. Let's live it now, but now you don't have time to live that life.
You don't even have the money.
You don't even have the money. By the time
you spent it back on
all of them. So all that lifestyle you have had by the society and by others, you in the end you just realize that even if you have money, by making right choices or right, let's say, right investment, that's so-called investments. But you're 70 years old that time. Those investments have made you lost all the time. Which if you would have used this money by exploring the world and by working on yourself, self-developing, working on your health, working on your fitness, and save this money or invest this money also at the same time, you would have done much better. You would have lived a better life. But you have waited for so long that your body is not supporting you anymore. Your brain is not supporting you anymore.
Absolutely. Which is why what's being taught nowadays is, as you mentioned, a lot of materialism as a value, right? So a lot of people, they want to earn a lot of money. But why? Because they want to buy more materials. They want to buy things that they don't necessarily need. things that they want.
Yeah.
Right? So when I was talking about the education system, it's more along those lines of financial management, like buy the things that you need, not the things that you want. Then, of course, we were talking about they were talking about maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Why is that such a neglected feature in a lot of education systems? This is the society of the future.
Yeah.
I'm a father now. I think I'm already, maybe at best, I'm the present and I'm already the past, right? At best, the present, right? Our children are the future.
Correct.
And we are not securing that future by teaching them how to live a healthy lifestyle, right? How to, you had discussed in our other podcast that what are they serving in schools? Why? Why are they not teaching the benefits of health? Why? And there are certain countries, I'm not going to say their names, of course, there are certain countries in which they are teaching these values. And you can see, just Googling it up, the obesity levels in those countries are extremely low. Why?
Yes.
They teach these values, right? But in the countries that don't teach it, and conversely, they're promoting obesity, morbid obesity, it is because they want it. They want to run their industries on you.
Yeah.
You're consuming a lot of their food, so the food industry is grateful to you. The medical industry is grateful to you because you're constantly going to be a medical bill.
Yeah.
And now what's the next thing? They're going to be like, okay, so you're working to earn this money, but you're spending it for the food because you can't control how much you eat. You're spending it for the medication because you need the medication, right? So how are they going to make it more appealing to you? They're going to say, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, we're going to give you free medication, they're going to give you, and you think that's actually to your benefit.
Yeah.
It's very controversial. I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but you think it's to your benefit. But the actual person who wants to make a benefit to you will be like, you don't need this free stuff, you don't need that free stuff or this grant or that grant if you're simply fit, right? If you're fit, why do you need it? So they increase your tax rates so that they can give you this free stuff, right? This free Medicare stuff. And what that does, it essentially takes away the stress in your life. When you're given free stuff, believe me, it is bad for you. It might sound really stupid me saying this right now. Free stuff is bad for you. Why? Because I just was explaining to you this morning about this rat utopia.
Yes.
By one of these scientists who did it in MP 1970s. So basically what he did, he got a containment. He filled it with 4 couples of rats or rat couples, whatever, which were disease-free. He gave them everything they wanted. There was no predator in there like a cat or anything. Obviously, it was a very secure environment. Abundance of food, abundance of water, good nesting places so that they can rest. And initially, the rats, they thrived. They started to multiply. And then eventually, they were so overcrowded and they was continuously getting free stuff, like free food. They didn't have to work for their food, didn't have to work for their water.
Everything was provided.
Everything was provided. And eventually this society became extinct because the rats started becoming asexual. Fertility rates went down.
Asexual.
Not interested in, in reproduction.
Right.
So, or like in any sexual activity. So they became asexual. They clearly, they started becoming more violent. They involved in cannibalism, which is eating each other. The mothers did not really care for the well-being of the infants. So there was parental neglect. And apart from that, there was a perversion of sexual behavior, or I wouldn't call it perversion. Okay, we'll say deviation for those of you who are a little bit, sensitive. So not, let's say no heterosexual relationships, like very controversial. So they were engaging in more of like homosexual behavior. So eventually the fertility rate declined, there was cannibalism, there was all of this. And even despite having all the resources they need to continue growing,
Best place they have created for them, right?
rat utopia. Utopia means like paradise.
Yeah. Paradise for rats.
Even though it was rat utopia, in about 910 days, there was no rat left alive.
So Not even 2 years.
So the first thing, and the
No, it was like more than 2 years actually. 2.5 years.
3 years, yeah, approximately 3 years.
2.5 years.
2.5, 3, 700, yeah.
3 years.
But anyways, the scientist who, I'm not getting his name right now, but the scientist who recorded this, and he did the experiment not once, he did it many times.
Really?
Many times. And the scientist who recorded this noted that there were two reasons for the cause of death. One was the actual death, the physical death, but that's the second reason. The first reason he noted was what he calls a spiritual death. Because the rats no longer had a need or a purpose to go out there and to get food or to safeguard themselves from predators. And they had everything readily available, free stuff, which is what I was talking about, the free stuff that you can. They eventually lost their they had a death spiritually. There was no longer a purpose left in life. And when you are purposeless, then you are dangerous, and in the bad way dangerous, because you don't believe in anything.
Because nothing makes sense then.
Right. And you can't have, and this is why, again, I am against the whole tolerate everything. Because if you tolerate everything, then what do you believe? What do you stand for?
Exactly.
Right? If you believe, or if you tolerate, or if you accept being fat, right? If you accept being fat, but at the same time you think you need to have an active lifestyle to be healthy and fit. They're two contrary opinions. You can't believe in both of them. You have to stand either here or you have to stand either there. And I think we all know what the truth is when it comes to morbid obesity. There's a reason why it's medically called morbid obesity, is because these people have a higher tendency to get diabetes, to get strokes, to get a lot of health problems, right? And when we talk about it, we say, oh, he had a heart attack or someone died of those reasons because they had stress. Stress is not bad. It's your physical condition.
Exactly.
Humans are built to handle stress.
Yeah.
Right? Any creature is built to handle stress and go out in nature.
That's natural in you.
Yes.
Natural is supposed to, the way you have all feelings, same way is stress. So that's where what I understand by doing this. If you will not handle your stress, if you will not be stressed, if you keep that stress inside you, then you will have anxiety and depression because you just don't have a voice to say it. Because like in today's time, if someone in the society, if the community you don't like and everyone is doing wrong and you cannot say it just because you want to tell the truth and just because you support the right. And if I'm unable to say that, let's say if I'm unable to say that, I will start feeling very low inside. And then I can have the anxiety and I can become depressed in this. But if I have guts, or if I have to tell the truth, and if I'm openly talking about it, maybe not on the camera, maybe in person, I always do that. Usually I actually speak the truth on the camera also. But in that case, I'm handling my stress. But where it will go wrong, if my lifestyle is not really bad, if I'm eating wrong food, and if I'm all the time 24/7, if I'm distressed, then of course I have high blood pressure, I have heart condition, I may die.
We are meant to handle stress as a species. We take it across any species. We were talking about like a tiger. We always think, when we think about tigers or lions, oh, they're so strong, they can hunt. But just for any of you who have seen a documentary, you will see that there are tigers that starve to death because they failed to catch the prey. They failed to a successful hunt. They have a lot of other problems. They have a lot of other predators. Sometimes even a tiger can be surrounded by a pack of hyenas, and that's a stressful situation, but it comes out of it, right? It's a struggle even for a tiger, even for other animals. It's not unique to the human condition. The only difference is, can you handle it? Are you in a position, are you creating, or are you preparing yourself to handle it? And you know that I'm a big enthusiast of the Roman Empire history. I love history.
I think that's why we get along so well.
Yeah.
We always discuss history because I love that.
And Churchill says this about history lovers. How far behind you can see is actually how far ahead you can see.
Yes.
If you can see 2,000 years in the past, then you are more likely to be able to see 2,000 years in the future. And that's how we decide our leaders, right? That's how we decide who we want guiding us. We want someone who's aware of the past, because those who are not aware of the past will repeat the mistakes of the past in the future. Would you want a person to lead you if he does not know what he did yesterday? You wouldn't, right? You wouldn't, because you'd be like, if he doesn't know what he did yesterday, what's he going to do tomorrow and day after? You would not know, right? So That's why I feel like history is something that it's worth taking.
But nobody talks about history these days.
It's glossed over.
Yeah, it's such a oh, forget it. Don't talk about previous days. Oh, it was time is gone, and you're talking about like 100 years ago. I mean, I read. I mean, Quran was written like nearly. We are reaching towards close to 2,000 years now. Stoicism, like before, over 2,000 years now. Bible was written. How many years it is? Exactly.
Yeah, around to the same like
2000. Yeah, 2000 exact. So we are following the same international. I mean, the English calendar. So that is. Isn't it like? If anyone who says like they don't believe in history and they don't talk about history, they're also atheist because they don't believe it. Or I don't believe in.
Can you believe that something happened in the past?
If you don't believe in the prophet, if you don't believe in the, let's say, in Jesus, whatever, I mean, whoever you follow, if you don't believe in that, and if you say like I do believe in God, I'm a religious person, but you don't believe in history, how
is that possible? Exactly. I think it's very important that, that you understand the history. And I was talking about like, the Romans, for example. They say this thing that if you don't sweat during peacetime, you will bleed during war, because life is a constant struggle. Whether there is struggle or there isn't struggle, you must create struggle so that you're always prepared for when times are bad, you can face it. If you always surround yourself in comfort and in luxury, what are you going to do when things are tough? Right? So what are you going to do? You're not prepared for it.
So, right, when I was preparing this, the Kaizen program, so I have given, this, the cardio time and the workouts, the whole schedule. This is the time you wake up. This is what you're supposed to think. That's how you're supposed to think. This is what you're going to write. This is the time you're going to sleep. All of that. So, I know there are many things which are very easy for me because I've been doing all of this basically my lifestyle since last many years. Which recently, that's the reason my color. Now, we play paddle in the sun and I tan so much. The reason I put everyone for cardio to do inside the gym. Mm-hmm. And in this heat, when it's like 45 degrees, literally we are touching, I decided to do almost 2 months ago. 2 months ago, I will play paddle shirtless in the sun where it's actually hot. And it's literally 40, 42 degrees in the morning. 10, 11 a.m. I'm going to play paddle at that. The reason, and I've trained my body, the reason I'm not getting heat stroke, the reason I'm not getting, alhamdulillah, the reason I'm not getting sick, because I didn't just start it today. I've started in a good weather and slowly, I've trained my body because every day I'm voluntarily, I decide to actually push my body, to force my body to go to face the hardships, whatever is more and more difficult. And I think that's what, even if you live in the 7-star hotel, a 5-star hotel, you drive a Lamborghini, you have a lot of money, you have the best food, and that's where you need stick to your routine, to your diet. Wake up 5, 6, 4, whatever the time, early in the morning. Get to gym, work out every day, and live the same life when you did not have money. Do not depend on money and material to enjoy life. You can still enjoy life without that.
Absolutely. And if you cannot enjoy life without that, then even having all the money in the world,
you will never be happy. You will never be satisfied.
It's a bottomless pit, right?
Exactly.
If you believe that money is needed to make you happy, then you'll never be happy, because no amount of money will ever make you happy, right? Let's say you're earning, you're earning maybe in the tens of thousands, and now you believe that you will be happy at $1 million. And now you're earning $1 million. You will think that you will be happy at $1 billion, and it just keeps going on. You have to know how to find the happiness, and it's hard. I'm not saying it like I did. It's hard. It's hard to move out of this materialistic world that we live in, and at the same time, it's a constant struggle. But at the same time, you got to keep reminding yourself, and you got to, I'm no pundit in this, okay? So I don't expect people to look up to me and to think that, Aaron is saying all of these things. He is like the exemplar of, being completely not materialistic and everything. Yes, I do have some of those weaknesses, but I do acknowledge it as a weakness.
Yeah.
Right? That's what maybe differentiates me with probably the rest of you. I'm sure maybe there are many out there who also acknowledge their weakness.
Yes.
What's the difference between me and you mentioned that I was 110? So I was also morbidly obese.
Yeah.
But what's the difference between me and maybe another person who was 110? I never called,
You're telling the truth. And
I never called myself, not even once in my life, I'd never said I was a plus size man. I'd say it like it is, I'm morbidly obese. Right?
good, very good point that we have reached here. Let's talk about your 110 kg time. And what was your lifestyle like? Because it may connect to many of the audience.
The do things carefully, right? Which is basically, I don't care about myself.
Exactly.
Right? It's very, I'm carefree. I don't care about myself, how life goes, your discipline. I mean, I did care on a subconscious level that, yes, I'm unhappy with where I am. I really hated who I was.
That's emotion. That's why emotion doesn't matter.
Emotionally,
So that your actions, you were carefree.
yes, in my actions, I was carefree. Deep down inside, I was like, I'm not happy with this. And honestly, I do remember how it was like. I mean, it's maybe you will never be able to relate to it because you were never at that size. But I do remember how it is. And sometimes I see people who are bigger than 110. And I just think to myself, man, it must be even more hard because I was 110 and I really hated it. When I walked, my thighs used to rub against each other. I used to get like rashes on my inner thighs. It was painful. I mean, and if you're bigger than me, I can't imagine that you're not undergoing the same sort of things. When I sit down, I feel my clothes, the way they stick to my body. I feel lethargic. I feel all of this. So how can you be maybe someone who's 150 and not have felt what I have felt back then?
How was your lifestyle like? The sleeping pattern?
Sleeping
Habits?
Sleeping patterns were out of, not at all consistent, right? Which is why you didn't go to bed.
In those days?
You can't ask me that question, honestly, because there is no time, right, that I used to go to bed. Like, if you ask me today, what time do you go to bed? I could say, yeah, sir, yes, I go to bed at 9:30.
But okay, let's say random times. Okay, this, any time.
So if today was maybe 9 because I was sleep deprived.
In those days.
Yeah, in those days, if today, like let's say in those days, if I was living in those same days, if today I'm sleep deprived, I sleep at 9, and tomorrow my sleep is all caught up, so I sleep at 4 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and day after tomorrow, I will sleep at 3 because it's still going on. And then as the week progresses, again, I'm sleep deprived, so I fall asleep. What I usually wake up as random as my sleep, right? Because the human body is like a clock, ultimately, right?
So what were you like waking up hours usual? So you would wake up between 10 to 12, or let's say like...
Yeah, I would say approximately 10 to 12, which is like a horrible time to wake up. Yeah, p.m.
And how was your food habits, eating habits?
So very straight off the bat, there was no such thing as breakfast for me because most of the time I was...
Yeah, but the last time.
I was waking up at pretty much lunchtime. So obviously to compensate for the lack of or missing out on breakfast, I used to eat a very heavy lunch, right? Straight up, get up from the bed and a very heavy dinner. So I used to have just 2 meals, which were extremely heavy, high calorie foods, such as like fast foods. And, man, can you imagine? It has been ever since I joined you, maybe 3 years since I've not eaten, but I'll show you how much I used to eat. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. 600. I still know the number, but what is that? That's the number of... I still know it by heart. What is that? 600? 600?
You're helping these people to actually call for right there while I'm watching this.
I should get advertising money, but regardless, I'm just...
So where do you suggest that?
But that's how often I used to order it.
After 3 years, you still remember the number, and you never ordered since last 3 years.
No.
Ah.
Can you imagine that 1 or 2 cells in my brain is permanently gone to remembering this most useless information? Permanently. I cannot use this for anything else. So you can see the fun of that every day. Almost every day. And I'm like,
And apart from this, what was your food like?
my food was either... I don't want to say brand names because I don't want to,
Promote any brand.
I don't want to not only promote, but I don't want to get accused of, defaming businesses, which is not my intent, right? Again, there are businesses out there. It's the choices you make, right?
What do you suggest for people to?
I would not recommend. I would not recommend.
Why?
Obviously, it's not in your best interest to, to feed yourself with, as you mentioned, the food that doesn't love you back.
Exactly.
The food that doesn't love you back. Would you spend your time with the people who don't love you back?
Exactly.
I mean, There are few exceptions like you spend time with people who not necessarily love you back. But that's your purpose, I guess. Like,
Yeah, that's my purpose to help them because they have brain. Food does not have a brain.
yeah.
People have a brain that you can change them the way you can transform their brain. That's why I transform minds.
Yeah.
Make them choose the right lifestyle and make right choices in life so that they can build good habits. They can become great individuals by choosing and being right habits. Okay, so this was your lifestyle. This was your food. And what was your surrounding like? Friends, not the lifestyle, the by surrounding.
Well,
I've been to
basically just, party all the time. Have late nights, which is one of the reasons why my sleep was so sporadic, because
what is this late night? Why the late nights happen? I mean, what is happening there? Is it like a business you're developing? What else?
I think it's more like escapism. I think
Escaping from what?
escaping from reality. I think everyone over there needs to have a weekend because they want to reset, right? People want to reset from what? From failing to do what's necessary during the week.
So they were having these parties over weekends and escaping from the reality. They failed to do what they were supposed to do
During the entire week, it's an escapism. And it's like yeah, there are different forms of escapism. It could be excessive partying, excessive drinking of alcohol, being too involved in the social media, because again, I mean, if there are different ways of using social media, if you're using it to reach out to people and to empower and to make people better, that's a purpose to social media. But if you're using it to, to hide from your reality or to hide from what you need to do in real life, right? And I see a lot of these people where they post themselves in the gym or working out, and they use filters to look at it.
Some of the event trainers, they post after before pictures of their clients, and they use actually these filters to make them look better, slimmer and better. And this is the thing, like when these trainers actually get clients who are already like very slim, and they're just supposed to lose like 3, 4, 5 kgs, and then they do it like in 1 month, 2 months time. It's not a big deal because that's just the water is gone, and then they look slimmer, and they used filters on top of that and the angles. Now they posted that, and then people come to me and say like, the result. I said like, the weight they started with, it was nothing to lose. Someone like this would have come to me and I would say like, just change your habits and you will get that results. You don't even need to train. Yeah. You will just do it by yourself. Just start walking.
But then again, those very same people, right? They find it offensive when someone actually tells them the truth. But if you are using filters, you know the truth, right? Otherwise, why use them? Why use them? If you're using filters to look thinner,
and there are apps also to make your waist slimmer and big, make you like,
it's like, what if you're using them, you know what the truth is and you know what you want.
Yeah.
But God forbid, I tell you that's what you want, or you tell them that's what they want, and what they are is not ideal.
There's a backlash. They will be like, oh, Yasir is boasting about himself.
For example, now if I call myself morbidly obese, or was morbidly obese, I have every right to do so because it's who I was. And if you want to believe who you are, go ahead, believe who you are. But don't tell me to believe what I was. And I was morbidly obese. I had health problems.
You were 110 kgs, a lot of weight. And there are people who are 150, 160, 170, 130, and that way more than you. And you have a height. People are like even short, like my height. They're not that tall, but they're still like 130, 140, 150 kgs. Yeah. And they consider themselves like that's nothing is wrong with them. Yeah. But I mean, where is the brain? And some of the people are like doing very well in their businesses. Yeah. And they don't think. So my question is, then why are you doing this? For what?
And the thing is, okay, you might want to call yourself a plus size or whatever you feel is a very less harsh term for what it is, in my opinion. But I have every right to call my old version morbidly obese. Yeah. And I called it back then when I was morbidly obese. I never said at 110 kilos that I'm a plus size. Even back then I said I'm a fat F. I used to call myself that because and if I don't call myself that, I'm not going to change. I'm not obvious. I'm not going to change. If I call myself plus size, but by all means, if you want to call yourself plus size, continue to do so. But I can guarantee you will not change as long as you use that term.
And the thing is, like, these are the youngsters, huh? Because they're in their teens and their 20s, because your body and your metabolism is just supporting you.
Yeah.
When you reach your 30s and 40s, you become so bitter.
Yep.
And that's why a lot of people are reverting, to the way they started this, norm of like body shaming and all of that in their young age, in their teenage. Even some people have, changed their sex or things like that. I've seen a couple of videos. And now in their 30s and 40s, when they are just opening their eyes and the body is not supporting it, because come on, it's you're the creation of God. And when it's going towards, you're getting older, suddenly you're realizing like, oh my God, what have I done to myself? And why I did not change myself at that time in my young age? Why did I not exercise? Why did I not sleep properly? So this was your lifestyle, this was your food, that was your surrounding. People are coming over, weekends, partying, enjoying, and all of that. One question: would you allow your kids to adapt the same lifestyle and live like that?
See, when it comes to allow, it is not my place to allow or not allow. Yes, as a parent, I have to prepare the child not to do that. I cannot protect. And this is one of the things I actually admire my father for, is that he allowed me to make my choices, my mistakes, and to learn from them. And I feel like a lot of parents are overprotective.
Yeah.
Would I allow it? Whether I allow or don't allow a child is an individual.
What I don't have that in your house.
But would I desire it? No. I would definitely not want that lifestyle for my...
Again, the same lifestyle you have described, if it's happening in your house.
Yeah.
And you are the father.
Yeah.
You're the leader of the house.
Exactly.
Would you allow it?
Not under my roof. I would not allow it to happen. Like, there would be consequences for it. But then once they grow up and they're obviously living on their own, they can choose to ignore whatever my values or whatever I try to bring them up with. And if they choose to do that, then they also have to be ready to take accountability for the consequences of those decisions.
Why would you not allow in your under your?
Because I believe in a family, ideologies have to be aligned in for people to, peacefully, coexist and to work together. And you cannot believe one thing, and someone else cannot believe another thing, because obviously your surrounding matters, right? If the surrounding doesn't matter, then take a fish and put it on a tree, and take a monkey, put it in the sea, right? Surrounding matters. So if one person within your environment is doing something wrong, that is eventually going to affect the other person. It's no secret that when you have a bunch of siblings, if one of them is doing some activity like hiding and maybe smoking, or hiding and having an alcohol, there's a good chance that the other children will follow that. So in order to get everyone aligned, everyone needs to follow. Now, I won't be saying to my child, don't follow that lifestyle. And that's why I want to change, right? Because I realize it's not hypocritical. I realize that if I don't want my child to be drinking, and I don't want my child to, as long as they're in my house or under my roof, then I shouldn't be doing it, right? I shouldn't be doing it. Again, it's not about being hypocritical. Like, if I want certain values that my child has to adhere to, I have to follow it. So if let's say right now I have just one child, but, God willing, I'll have more. So I cannot tolerate one child doing whatever they want in my house, because that will invariably affect the other one of the other child. And it's not that I don't want them to have the freedom, but I have a responsibility to the other child as well. It's the same as asking you in your gym, would you tolerate me doing something or someone else doing something? I know one of the things you do not like in the gym is clients just having chit chat, right?
Yeah.
So because I train with you, would you hold me to a different standard?
Not at all. Which that very well. And the people who are closest to me, what happens to them, that So that when the people are closest to me and who are training with me, they hold way more accountability than anyone else.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. as that's the reason like we have TYF. Okay, you want to chit chat, you want to discuss, you want to have business connections, family connections, whatever. You want to even date someone, please go to TYF, sit there, eat your food, have coffee together, enjoy. Yes, you have your freedom. You are adult. No, I don't need to be. I don't need to parent you. I don't need to be like responsible for every single right and wrong you do. But when you are here for training, when you are doing your cardio, like inspire, get inspired, motivate yourself, read something, watch something. When you are training, stay focused, pay attention. If at that time, if you're going to just like 4 or 5 people stand all together and they just waste time and they don't train properly, but you tell me, you have seen in past 3 years, there are many people who have shown results in front of you, including you. What is that? What are those characteristics of being here in TYB, and that those are the ones who gets results?
Okay, can explain. They don't come here to socialize.
And the ones who shows there are people who did not get results, and you know why?
Yeah,
it's obvious.
I tend to be like, and this is often a criticism that I receive, is that I tend to be the person who also leaves my cell phone in the car, because I'm here in the early morning, and that's why I prefer the early morning, because pretty much vast majority of the world is asleep. That means nobody will call me. Even if I do leave my phone in my car, I'll not get called. But this is the time for myself, and not the other people who are here in the gym. It's for me. And when you give yourself that time, and when you give yourself that importance, then, and maybe a lot of the people in the gym might think I'm actually very full of myself. Maybe I'm arrogant. And that's because when they approach and they talk to me, they might get a feeling that I'm always trying to cut the conversation short, because I know what will be the result if I just continue the conversation. I know what you'll say to me. And it's not just that. I understand why you say certain things to me. So I am fully on board with why you don't want us to have this sort of, socializing within the gym.
Yes.
Right? So it might appear that I'm not interested in having a conversation. Yes, I am interested in having conversations with people, but there's a time and a place for it, right? If you truly find me to be an interesting person and you'd like to strike up a conversation with me, don't do it in the gym, because that's where I'm supposed to focus on myself. You're supposed to focus on yourself. You're supposed to work out. You're supposed to, put in the lead, sweat it out. Hit me up for a coffee. Whatever you want to know from me, if you want to debate my point of view or whatever, I'm open to it. I'm open to hearing it. But the gym is not the place to do that, right? You're here, and this is the one time in your life, or the one part of the day where you are truly doing what's for yourself. Think of all your other activities during the day. Are you really doing it for yourself? You're working.
Yeah.
You're doing it so that you can support your family, or you're doing it so that, indirectly you're helping your employer to grow his wealth, right? You're not doing it for yourself. I mean, if you are doing it for yourself, then every one of us would be like, multi-billionaires, things like that. We'd probably do it with so much passion that we excel at it. But this is something that you're doing it for yourself. So why are you being distracted? But again, it all boils down to the question as to why you are so strict with me and the entire gym. And there is one standard for the entire gym, because in Hindi, again, my Hindi is not very good. There's a saying, right? And maybe you can say it better in Hindi. I'm going to say it in English because I don't want to make a fool of myself. One bad fish ruins the entire pond, right? And that's the same with upbringing, which is why I wouldn't allow my child to follow this lifestyle. But at the end of the day, as a parent, more than just allowing the child, it is my duty to prepare the child onto how to face the world, not protect it. Like I feel a lot of, and again, I'm learning as I go along. I'm just a new parent. I'm not trying to talk like a guru of parenting. I'm still learning my way. I think a lot of parents, they are protective, overprotective, don't allow children to make mistakes. And that is one of the key things. And it comes from a good place. I'm not saying it doesn't come from a good place. Every parent wants what's best for their child, right? So they're being overprotective because they love the child, but they don't understand that this is indirectly harming the child. As Jordan B. Peterson, I really love that. He's very intellectual Canadian psychologist. he says the good mother necessarily fails. What does that actually mean?
Because you have overprotected.
Yes, as to be a good mother, you have to necessarily fail to protect your child. Like, go out there, and this is exactly, I'm paraphrasing, go out there, and the child replies, why? It's dangerous out there. He's like, yes, it's more dangerous out there in the world, and you might break your body out there, but it's more dangerous if you stay with me, and I keep protecting you, because over here, you will break your soul.
Every time I praise my dad, every time I show my respect towards him, every time I feel more and more love and respect towards him, for one reason, that he was tough on. If he was not, I would not be the way I am, and I would not be telling the harsh truth so openly in front of the camera to the people. And the reason people have changed and the way they have transformed, because I'm able to say all of that.
Because you are tough.
Because I'm able to say all of that. If it was not me, you would have not have transformed.
I would have walked all over you.
The people would have not transformed because I'm so difficult to deal with, and that is true. If it was not your parents, whatever they have said to you, they would have changed your life. Any of my clients, there are many people who you know, and the people who are watching who have transformed, their parents would have changed their life because they all wanted the good for them. Every parent wanted the good for their kids, for their children. But why they could not? If I would have slept late, like initial days, teenage, talking to girls, this, that, all that I did as well. Watching movies, going out with friends, like out means we were not going out like parties and all that. We never had money and not such opportunities to go, all of that. But it was just like going to maybe near the lake, sitting there eating butta or the dhaba. So dhaba, that too came way late when I started making money, because I could, that's the thing, people just don't realize that where I've come from. The money which I have got from my parents, I'm this 34-year-old, I'm not like 75-year-old that 1 rupees or 2 rupees actually was a lot. No, it was not. But the maximum money I have got from my parents is 2 rupees. Until the age of 13, 2 rupees. You know what is 2 rupees? And that too not regularly. So, that's why how tough he was with me, how tough my dad was with me, and I would have become what I have become. And when mothers come here and when parents, when they come to me and they say like, I don't know how these people, they order on the app and I don't even know when they're eating.
It's like they became overnight.
You literally don't know how your son and how your daughter, they are eating. No, it has come from you. You're the one who taught them. And which is, now anything what we are discussing and anything I'm going to say, I'm saying, and we are going to discuss further also, the people are going to feel, oh, how is he saying that? How is he speaking like that? How is he describing our but tell me if it's not true, man.
It's absolutely true. And how can it be that you have a child and you wake up one day and suddenly they are 150 kilos? No, before that there was 145, there was 140, there was 135. So where was your awareness during all that time? You can't just come up here and say that, oh, I don't know how he became so fat. He or she became so fat. I mean, what happened to all that years? Those milestones, I guess, of gaining weight, right? What happened to all those? It didn't happen overnight. It's not like he slept today and he was 80 kilos and the next day he woke up, he's 150. Right?
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen overnight. Okay, if it happened that way, then come and say, I don't know how it became like that. And then probably don't go to a gym, see a doctor, because that would probably be a very unheard of medical condition, which we don't know how to solve that problem. But if he was 80 and he reached maybe, let's say 150, 160, 110, like my case, it happened over time. It took time and it took the wrong kind of
habits. And this is what I've discussed with Nigi also in her podcast when it comes to, the habits, and when it comes to that parents are not paying attention on the kids, that when they're growing and not saying anything. I mean, I know every parent wants the best and they say it. They say it like, oh, you're putting on weight, take it up yourself. But how they're saying it that the kids are not listening and they don't listen. What is that difference? I mean, my dad, from the very young age, if he saw like I've not slept properly, if I wasted my time, he was like, I still have this in my head, so engraved. He would come up after praying Fajr, me waking up late. For me, late is in my house is like 6:37, 6:30. That's a late, because Fajr is done at that time. He would come. You know what he would say? What have you done to yourself? This is how you're going to live your life. Is this the way you're going to live your life? What will you get out of your life? This is the way. That's it. Those things, every day when I wake up, and if there are many times that I have not slept properly for whatever the reasons, it can be the work, it can be discussing something with one of my clients, trying to make him or her understand, which is actually kind of so difficult sometimes, because the person is like constantly being so resistant about everything I'm trying to say. But the thing is, like, I just want to provide the best of the best, and I want to constantly explain. So sometimes it takes to like 10, 11, 12, and I'm late, and I wake up at the same time, and I come here, and when I wake up in the morning and I look at myself, just this voice of my dad in my ear is, what have you done to yourself? What do you want to make out of yourself by living this way? So you have no control. I mean, what is this? What is it? So these are the things which I still remember. And I think that's what I tell to my clients also when you guys come here, and every time I see you. And if you're not, I don't say anything harsh on the spot. I say, I notice, and I notice, and I notice. I keep noticing and keep noticing and keep explaining and keep explaining. And then I say something. After a few times, 10 times at least, I must have explained. And then I say, like,
Yeah.
what the hell are you doing with this?
Yeah. I mean, for those of you who think Yasir is very harsh, trust me, you've not seen anything. He can be a lot more harsh. In fact, if you think he's harsh, he's most likely actually being very polite to you guys. Honestly, not that he's a horrible person or something, because he is not afraid of speaking the truth. Especially if you meet him in person, trust me, he will speak the truth. He will call a spade a spade. He will not shy away from that. That's as much as I know. And I mean, having personally trained with him for a very long time now, I know that the things he can say. But again, don't look at the message. Don't look at the messenger. Look at the message. Look at the intent, right? Do not blame. If someone's telling you something, right? Do not blame the person for what they, and that's what society has become. You know, if I say something now, and it's very controversial, we've spoken about femininity, masculinity, and I want to talk more on that. But if I say something like that, people end up hating me. No, hear my message, maybe hate my message, right? Hate my message. Understand that I'm a human being. Now, if you believe the exact opposite, you can sit down, you can have a conversation with me and make me understand. And make me understand your point. You're right. But people start hating. People start hating the people. I don't understand it. We have become so divided as a community. Men and women at each other's throats. We are built to work together. And don't hate the messenger, maybe hate the message.
Okay, but actually, this is a very good thing. Like, let's say you are the one who is actually, I know you don't, but let's say like you hate me. But so I want to know why. What do I say that actually made you hate me? But there are many people who talk behind my back, which is okay if you love talking about me. It means I must be doing something right, that you just can't stop talking about me. You can't stop putting those comments. You can't stop, listening about me. You can't stop discussing me in your house or among your friends. Oh, Yasir Khan, I must be doing something right. Absolutely. Yeah, I must be doing something better than you. Not right or wrong, but better than you. But why? Why this hate? Because you know me, and you actually have conversation with a lot of people in the society. What is that they hate so much about?
Honestly, it's very mind-boggling. It's not easy to think of it, because I have to put myself in their shoes if I have to come up with an answer to that.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I cannot say with a surety as to why they hate you, but possibly a reason is you're a constant reminder of something they already know to be true, and they're just not facing it. If, let's say, I'm always surrounded by people who are always doing the right thing and I'm doing the wrong thing, I will not be happy, right? Because I'm constantly reminded. For example, you had given your cousin as a sort of an example. When was the time they actually started pressurizing him to do the right thing? Is when you were a constant reminder of what is possible and what is reality.
What he could have done.
Yeah, what he could have done. So I think people are more like to live in sweet denial rather than accept the reality, what they need to put in, what they need to do. But again, even if you agree or you don't agree with the message, that's it. Leave the message, take it, leave it, or, but don't hate the messenger. That it makes absolutely no sense to hate the messenger. That's what I believe in anyways. I mean, if you want to hate me, that's your prerogative. You can do it.
Yeah, people can do whatever they want, but we are just discussing like why do they?
But I honestly, if you are morbidly obese or whatever, let's say plus size, whatever term you like to say, I do not hate him.
Yeah.
What I see is my past self in you, and what I see is a future for you that you can improve.
Yeah.
So why choose the path that is going to bring you more sorrow when you can achieve something that can make you happy? That's what I see. That's what I see. For me, my whole point of discussing this with you, or to talk about, why masculinity is so much necessary, why is it being villainized in men, promoted in women, and femininity is promoted in men, is because that's not good for you. And that's my belief, right? Then it's up to you whether you want to take it or whether you don't want to take it. But it's not because I want to hurt your feelings. That's not my objective. I don't want to hurt people's feelings. But if it hurts your feelings, in fact, I can't hurt anyone's feelings. The only person, you can say anything to me. Now, you say things to me that probably you say to your other clients.
Yeah.
If you say to your other clients, they probably, I don't know, commit suicide, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference? The difference is that I can handle it in a different way than others. Now, let's say you met me at 110 and you describe me as a fat F. It wouldn't hurt me in a way it could hurt someone else. Maybe someone in the comments might say, oh, how can you use the word fat F, right? How can you use that word fat F? That's because it hurts you. It doesn't hurt me. So the thing is, I cannot hurt you. It's just words. Yeah, if I have a stick and I'm beating you, then I am hurting.
Exactly.
Now it's just words. What's hurting you is your own thought process. Is your own thought process.
How are you processing this?
Yes. So how you think. Now, I'm walking on the road. Let's say I'm walking down the street and you meet me and you say, Aaron, I saw your podcast. You're a terrible human being. And I wish that you drop dead. You think that's going to hurt me? No. Because it's words. Now, if you actually do something that will make me drop dead, then that's physical harm.
That's why 97% we suffer in the external. We don't suffer in the internal. And
I think you mean to say we suffer
in your mind. In the external means like what people are talking about. That's coming from the external. But when it reaches us, then only we suffer 100% in the mind. So if the external, then it reaches us. If we take it, then we suffer 100%. So it's a very different process. So you suffer by thinking, and you are going, oh my God, how could he say this to me? And how could she say that to me? It really hurts my feelings because you have a different perception of whatever the words came out of. Since we are talking about me and the society over here, it took me like 7-8 years to actually 2015 to 2021 to become successful and transform many lives and make them the money I have made. And what I've created, alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful to all the people who have supported me and all the clients who have come to me and, I have transformed their lives and the kind of values I have added to the society and the community I'm creating right now is very, very grateful. But there are many people who, as you said, like when I started climbing the ladder of success or good, because success for me is, I don't see that how much money I have and how much money you have, but the journey where I've come from and where if you have been just here and could not do anything, I'm sorry, I'm far, far ahead of you in that case. So there are many people who are just sitting and talking and partying and enjoying, and they are the ones who talk about me and say things about me. And if they don't see it that the way I have succeeded by helping others, I have not succeeded by selling mobile phones, property, which is the property business is very super successful business in Dubai. I could have done that. I could have done something else. I could have made much more money than doing what I'm doing, because this is the hardest, because I'm going against the lifestyle over here from our community especially. Now I have chosen the hardest path to do actually. And otherwise I could have just made my money in the first 3, 4, 5 years and would have invested that into something else and just stop doing this, because this is so difficult. This is so hard to fight every day. And when I wake up in the morning and I was like, okay, so what do I have to deal with today? Who do I have to deal with today? I mean, it's every day. It's just everyday thing. And you know this very well. So when putting so much efforts every day and trying to help the same society which is actually attacking me, and the same, in the same society, if one person actually choose to work with me, and when that person changes like you did, they start attacking you, they start disliking you. When if and you could have done for someone else over there, but they just don't know, because you will start changing them. You will start transforming them. You will start making them, because whoever is the leader among them is the one who is constantly brainwashing it. But for what? I want to know, what is this personal grudge, man? What is this personal grudge? What is the issue? What is the problem with you? What have I done to you? Have I taken money from you? Have I not given you back your money? Have I done something wrong to your family? Have I said something wrong to your family? Have I, disrespected? I mean, we have never spoken. You don't even know me.
Yeah.
We have never met.
Yeah.
What? I always keep hearing these stories and, these words from people that, oh, they said this too about Yasir, they said that about Yasir. Why? And I think you can explain this, because you're the same
So I think
place.
we'll discuss about what I recently said to you over WhatsApp to explain this. But I'll ask you personally, and then I will also answer personally the very same question. And for those of you who are watching, ask yourself and answer this question. Were there times in your life that you absolutely hated the guts of your father? Was there a time that you hated your father? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Maybe you wanted to do something and he didn't allow you to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There's times I've done that as well. And I'm sure there are times where you have done that as well. And that's why I'm saying recently I even wished you, even though it was Father's Day recently, I wished you a happy Father's Day, because I clearly said, in a way, TYB and its clients are your children of whom you're trying to make adults. And that is why people sometimes hate him, right? Because in the same way you hate a father because he's guiding you. And I don't know why this effect is there. The person who's guiding you often receives a lot of the hate.
Yeah, I think it's everywhere. Right?
I mean, like, to my own father, if you're watching this, I mean, I'm definitely very sorry for the times I have that feeling towards you, but I'm pretty sure that's a feeling that's mutual to everyone who has had someone who's trying to guide them on the right path, is that hatred. And the reason perhaps maybe is because people hate change. And now when someone is trying to guide you down the path, they're trying to make a change in you. They're trying to get you to change. But what is improvement? If you want to improve your life, okay, let's not talk about fitness. If you want to improve where you live, you're going to have to change your house, right? So if you're going to have to improve your fitness, you're going to have to change your lifestyle. And people hate change. But when that change is hard for them to do, right? But if I say, okay, you want a better car, let's change your car. You're driving this now, you're driving a Mercedes now. Let's get you a Bugatti. That's a change you're happy with, right? So, but people hate some changes which entails a lot of hardship.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they also, have this sudden hatred towards perhaps you, and like the same kind of hatred you have towards a paternal figure or even a maternal figure if they're trying to correct you, is because they're demanding that you change, right? And there was this video I saw a long time ago about this particular kind of lobster that doesn't have a shell of its own, and that it actually finds shell to protect itself. It goes inside the shell, and then as it grows, the shell is getting uncomfortable, and it doesn't like that. That's discomfort, and it's fighting. It's getting irritable, so it discards the shell, and then it goes finds a bigger shell, right? So it's constantly getting that. So what it considered to be a refuge, the shell, within a couple of months or a couple of years, I don't know the lifespan of a lobster, will eventually be its discomfort. And nobody likes anything that's not comfortable, right? People like to live with comfort. But as we explained with the whole rat utopia project, it's like stress is very much needed. If something stresses you out, I think pay close attention to it, because there might be something good in that. If something stresses you out, there might be something good that comes off it. Like, don't dismiss something as good or bad. If a message has hurt you, there might be, try to analyze why it has hurt. I think people don't go to the next step. Like, for example, if you tell me, Aaron, you need to do more cardio, which definitely sometimes I do need to do. And if that hurt me, maybe I need to analyze why it hurt them, right? And I think people don't take that second step. If you call someone, you are lazy, it's a hurtful thing to say. But why did he?
You are lazy. Yeah.
Why
You are like,
why did he say it? What did I do
yeah.
that made Yasir call me this? And people don't put in that second step,
Yeah.
which I kindly advise people to do this. So why am I talking about society? Why am I talking about this? It's not because I want to. Maybe there's some truth to what I'm saying. Maybe. Just maybe what I'm saying, there's some truth to it. So maybe try to think about it. Maybe try to think, is it true that, like, for example, we're talking about more controversial topics like masculinity, femininity. Is it true what I'm saying that men are becoming more and more feminine in their behavior?
And they are just more emotional. They are crying. They're complaining about everything. They are, as I said, like they started becoming more and more comfortable in their society, in their family. They're not going out. They're not going in the nature. They're not facing the truth. As I said, like why these men hate me, because I'm just telling the truth and they just can't accept it and they don't want to change it. They're not changing. They're not transforming.
Which is again a very feminine thing, right? I get upset with the truth, right? Like if you're telling, I'm not saying that women, that femininity is bad, but as a man, if someone is telling you the truth
in this thing
and you get offended, yes, then that's being very unmasculine.
But in this thing, as you said, women get offended when you say something. So for an example, if they have, they want to change something, let's say like, look at me, like, how am I looking? You say like, it's looking horrible. You hurt my feelings by saying horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, you're looking good. You're looking good. But you say like, okay, you're looking good. I don't think it's good, man. That's what I said. Like, it's horrible. I mean, it's not looking good. Maybe not, don't say horrible. Say like, it's not looking good.
Yeah.
Well, you just don't like anything, whatever I wear. Okay, then say what? You want to know the truth, but okay, fine. When it comes to female, I can still expect a certain level of they're built differently, because I can understand there are things which you say they feel hurt. You need to behave in a different. But if a guy is behaving like that, and if a guy is like, you say something, oh, you call me fat, oh, Yasir called me fat actually, then a 6 feet height, if you're 120 kg, what should I, oh no, you're Mr. Olympia, because only Mr. Olympia can be 120 kg with 6 feet. Yeah. Or a Mr. Universe, or whatever, like a bodybuilder, professional bodybuilder. Because he has so much of muscle mass. You're not that. What do you expect? Like a James Bond you are? You think like you're a James Bond.
Yeah.
You think like you're Daniel Craig and you have a lean physique. In which word? Maybe your mother must have told you, your sister must have told you, and yet you believe in that.
Really? But can you imagine the level of narcissism you have to have, that you have to demand that the whole world believes what you believe? You're free to believe that you're perfectly fine at 120. You're free to believe whatever you want to believe. But you have no right to demand that I share your belief, that I think that you're healthy, that I think that there's nothing wrong with.
But they're making it believe. I mean, just see the CK, the 90s shoot when Mark Wahlberg did one of the shoots with Kate Moss. Kate Moss and Mark Wahlberg, and one of the iconic pictures of him, like crazy physique. And I think recently it was 2022, 21, something like that. People just they can just Google it, the CK shoot of today's body, and they want you to accept. And when you know that it's not healthy, and that's why I said this, like, guys, whatever I'm saying, like, just go and watch the Way movie, and then whatever we are discussing about the overweight and all of this, then maybe you can relate. And again, it's not none of us, neither him nor me, we are trying to hurt people's feeling, but just the reality, because I don't want you to wake up after 20 years and say like, I wish I would have listened to you, because there are people who come to me after 3, 4, 5 years. I wish I would have listened to you at that time. You would have saved my time, and I would be living a better life. But okay, it's now or never. I want to do it right now. Okay, one thing which we started talking about, that your lifestyle before and now. Let's discuss your lifestyle now.
So my lifestyle now is definitely, you can even call it a lifestyle, because whatever I was living before had no semblance of anything.
Yeah.
Right now, my lifestyle is I go to bed early, I wake up early, I do my gym. The first
What time do you wake up?
I wake up at around 5:30.
And what time do you sleep?
I sleep at around 9:30 at the most. Yeah. So, um, again, I come to the gym. I do my cardio before because that's what you've been insisted for me to do, and it is a right of you to say so. So I do my cardio before, and I've noticed that it's made a difference in my workout. Then after that, we do, as you say, we either play paddle or we continue to do our cardio depending on the day and how we're feeling. We're dealing with a few minor, you can say, injuries. I wouldn't really want to call it injuries, but despite that, we're pushing. We're pushing on.
Like I literally play with my left hand.
You played with your left hand the other day. So where there is a will, that's what I'm saying. There's a choice.
Yeah.
You make a choice, and that's it. And when it comes to lifestyle, it's about eating food at the right time, eating the right thing. Try to, improve my water intake, because if anything, I have a problem with my drinking of water, which I know you absolutely hate, because there are so many people in this world who are not so fortunate. That
And Zapper also.
listen,
Drink water.
there are people who walk 20 kilometers a day who don't have water, and every time you don't have water, just give yourself a tight slap. That's exactly what you said.
Yeah, exactly.
Just see the kind of... And do I consider it hurtful? No, I consider it truthful, right? So
There are not only people who are walking 20 kilometers for the water. There are people who are just not finding anywhere and they're dying. Go to Africa, fine, you can do better. As I said, people are sitting and tuck, because they're going to post a lot of hate comments on this, which is okay, with me completely. But you will see, they will not Google the facts what we are discussing, but they will be so hurtful by the truth what we have spoken that they will not take second, because it will just take few seconds to put a hateful comment, which is okay. Please go ahead and do as much as you can.
I mean, and not just Africa. I mean, even in our
India, where I have grown up, at the farm, we had to literally, sometimes we had no water in the well, and we had to go to a next village, which was okay, maybe not 20 kilometers for us, I would not lie, but it was 3 to 5 kilometers away.
That's still a lot.
3 to 5 kilometers away, we had to go just for what? Not all the time, but some days. And there was no clean water. There was no tube well, there was no well, was completely gone in summers. There was no water coming out in that. And we had to go to different place just to get water, and the water would come, and then we will drink that water. Many times we have I always talk about my upbringing, because it was just so tough and difficult that anything and everything, whatever I face in today's time, nothing bothers me, because everything is just, it's a heaven. Everything is just plus. Because I'm used to living that kind of lifestyle. So I just, value and grateful for anything and everything, because it's too easy for anyone to just put a negative comment, but not just realizing and looking in itself, actually what he's saying is true. And if they have kids, that's what they are going to teach their kids also. But when the kids don't listen, then they realize, oh, what Yasir said, actually, I wish I would have followed that. I should have followed that. By today, my kids would have learned that from me and followed the same.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, even if you don't want to follow it, at the very least, what I would recommend, and that's what we have to learn as human beings nowadays, I believe anyways, is that we have to learn to be tolerant towards speech. There's nothing wrong with speech, right? We now want to censor a lot of things. People are not allowed the freedom to say what they want. And if they say this is offensive, that's offensive. If speech is only speech you'd like to hear, then it's not free speech. If we want to have a free and open conversation, then there is a possibility that you're going to be offended by it, that it's going to hurt feelings, that it's going to... otherwise, it's not free speech if everyone's just repeating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And as I said, tolerance also has its limits, right? If you tolerate everything, then what do you believe? What do you believe? What do you stand for? If you stand for everything, you stand for nothing.
Exactly.
Right? You can't believe everything and then also say, yes, I have a belief, I have an ideology, right? How can you?
Yeah.
How can you? So at the end of the day, you have to decide for yourself. So obviously nobody can make that decision for you, what you're going to accept and what you're going to reject. And at the end of the day, also realize that whatever you accept or whatever you reject is going to have consequences in your life. You're going to have to accept that accountability. That, yes, I made these choices. Yes, I made this. Accept the accountability. Yes, I was 110. Why? Because I made choices. Not because someone came and I just, blurted out the number that I remember still after 3 years.
Yeah.
That just shows how many times I made that choice, right? It's not something that...
But why, Aaron, it's in the society when you do something good, and especially when I say, and I want to help, and, I transform, and I help people to build good habits and a good lifestyle. It's so difficult for people to accept it. But if I am inviting people, oh, let's have party, let's drink, let's meet outside. I mean, everyone, I think every clients who have left me, they all will come for party and for drink and for anything which is like negative and which is wrong.
Yeah.
They all will join me for that. Why it's so easy, the wrong? Why it's so difficult, the good and the right?
Because I feel, to a certain degree, from my point of view, I feel that the way how people are brought up, the way how people are raised, it's not exactly explained. If you just look at our media, if you look at the kind of actors we have nowadays, the kind of music we have nowadays, it's just trying to brainwash people into believing that all of these things bring happiness. I mean, just take a good look at yourself. I'm talking to the audience. Take a good look of yourself. Are you really happy? Is it what I'm saying that's making you unhappy? Leave that aside. Look at yourself. Take a good look in the mirror. Are you happy? I can look at the mirror today and I can say I'm unhappy. I'm still unhappy. There's still a lot of things I want to work on. And that's why I'm pushing myself to work on them.
Right.
If I say I'm happy, I'm lying to myself. Maybe physically, yes, as you mentioned, I'm just 70% of what I was before. So I'm still not happy because I know I'm not the best version of myself physically right now. There was a best version maybe a year ago, right? Which I still need to achieve. But there are other aspects of my life that I'm not happy. I want to discover more about parenthood, what it is to, how to raise child. And there's no such thing as a manual about it. Work-wise, yes, I want to improve certain things about my own work ethic, about my own way of how I handle business. Personality-wise, I want to, improve on how I interact with people, because I don't know if what I say is a lot of wisdom or intelligence. That's for other people to decide. But if I'm saying things, I want to get it across in a manner where it's easier for people to receive it.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you are resisting what I'm saying, then perhaps maybe I'm not saying it in the right way. I can improve that. So, in that sense, I'm unhappy. You're also unhappy. We know, that's a fact. Take a good look at yourself. And I'm sure even you're unhappy. Because I know there are things that...
There are things, yeah. I was just coming to that point. There are many things which I'm proud of myself, which I'm proud of the kind of, as I said, I'm every day grateful to have a mind in the training I have. And that created my mindset. Is very unique and very different than normal people, that I know the difference between good and bad in today's time in this society, which is alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful. But there's one thing which I told one of my clients also and discussed this thing, that there's one story of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that story that, I can never compare myself to that level of goodness and that level of composed personality. But that is one story which so guys, please don't take me wrong if it is not absolutely correct, because I'm not what do you call it, expert or someone teaching religion, but this is just the story which I remember, so I'm just sharing that with you. That's what I want to adapt and build in me, because I know how much the hardships I face when it comes to trying to teach the good. So it's very close to that. So that the story is he used to go to the mosque, and every time he used to pass by one place, one gully or whatever. So he was passing, and there was one old lady. She used to throw the garbage every time he used to pass, and she used to, okay, he's coming, throw the garbage. He's coming, throw the garbage. And Prophet Muhammad, when he was one day, so it was many days passed, and one day he found he passed, and there was no garbage thrown at him. And he went to the mosque, he prayed there, and he was just concerned that what happened to the old lady? Why she did not throw garbage at me? He came back, And he went to her house, he knocked the door, and he found out that she's not well. And he went, she's like, are you okay? You need anything? Can I help you? Can I do something? It's like, oh, Mohammed, I have been throwing garbage at you. And this is the return that you came to check on me, that how am I doing? And if I'm feeling okay, if I'm okay. The level of goodness, do you understand what I'm talking about?
I see you.
And that goodness, that doesn't matter if the whole world is against me and the whole world is telling that what I'm saying and what I'm doing is wrong. But I know in my heart and as per the nature and as per the God, I'm doing right. And I want to, maybe, I don't know, it's too much to learn. But even if 10, 20, 30% of that mindset, that doesn't matter. The whole world keeps saying that. You just do the right. And that time when this lady said, I want to convert to Islam. And that's how she converted to Islam at that time. Because this is just so much goodness that you keep. And I know that I don't have such patience. And I want to build that level of patience. I'm just 34 years old. And I want to practice that. How can I just keep practicing and keep doing? Because sometimes it pisses me off. Sometimes I say a lot of nonsense shit, and I would not behave nicely. I would say things to people which will hurt people, which will face to face. But if I'm telling the truth, and if I know that it's right, I should have a level of understanding, patience, forgiveness, or just let go of the situation. Just let go of the situation and keep doing the right. That's what I'm not very happy about me. And that's what I want to build. That's what I want to work on.
So yes, like as you can see, we all have something that we would like to work on. We all have, you can call it unhappiness, or you might feel or desire. That's what it is. You want to desire to improve.
Yeah.
Perhaps. So again, you can be offended by the words I'm saying, but what I'm saying, look at the message and have a close look at it. Look in the mirror and tell yourselves, are you really happy? And if you're unhappy, answer for yourself these questions, right? Answer for yourself this question. Ask yourself the question. I think a lot of people need to keep asking themselves questions on a daily basis. Are you happy? What's making you unhappy? And then now what do you need to do to make yourself happy?
But don't you think like happiness should not be the goal actually? Because happiness is a feeling, and it can be sometimes sadness. It will become happiness, because if you just, for an example, if you are in the night at the dark and there's raining and there's a storm, you would want a sun and you would want a daylight. When it comes to daylight, and if you're like constantly just being in the sun, you would want night. So I think that sadness and happiness should never be the goal. What goal you should have is the continuous growth, the progress, the right path, the right upbringing of your next future generation, and what you are leaving behind as values, what values you are adding to the society, and what you are leaving behind after you're gone from this world, and how the world you're leaving behind a little better.
But those activities kind of bring you happiness, right? Like by actually being of value. When you realize that, so where I think a long time ago, my uncle a long time ago asked me, what is the purpose of life? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of editing? If editing has to have a purpose, it has to have a value.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the answer at first, so I thought about it, and then I came back to him, and I was fairly young at the time. He was quite impressed with my answer. I mean, I told him, for editing to have purpose, it has to have a value. So in order to feel that you have a value in life, you have to give something. So for example, if I want to buy this from you, right? If I want to buy a chess piece from you, and you tell me, okay, pay me 10 dirhams for this castle, I wouldn't buy it, because what's the value of this without the rest of the chessboard?
Yeah.
Right? So it has to have some sort of value. If I'm spending this much, it should give me some value. So with the world, when you're taking from the world so much, but your life is not returning back to the world, you don't have value. So in and of itself, this castle will feel, if it had feelings, would feel worthless unless it's on the chessboard where it serves a purpose.
Exactly.
Right? So in and of myself, I would feel, so when I say happiness, I mean more like have a value, have a purpose. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, do you have a purpose?
Yeah, exactly. That's
That's a better way of saying.
that's a better way of saying, like, do you have the purpose? And as I said, like, if you believe in God and if you're a part of this nature, you have to have a purpose, because it's all aligned.
Yeah.
You can never exist in this world without the purpose.
And the reason why I said happiness as a term is that if you are purposeless, then more than likely you're unhappy.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be happy and purposeless at the same time. I mean, yes, you can be momentarily happy when you indulge in maybe excessive drinking,
Right.
because you will forget about, like, you lose control, you will be intoxicated, so you could be happy temporarily. Then you wake up on the reality, as I said, escapism.
Yeah.
And so you will feel unhappy. But if you know that you have a purpose and you're sticking to your purpose and following that purpose, then you will feel content, more like Stoic people say content, which is not like happiness in the sense like, being too happy, or the kind of happiness you'd get from indulging in certain activities. It's a different kind of happiness. It's more a sense of fulfillment, which we all seek as human beings. So, like, using the chess as an example, if you say 10 dirhams for this piece, I might not buy it from you because it has no value, but you might tell me pay 10,000 for this entire chessboard. By counting each piece might not make sense, because adding each piece will not amount to 10,000, but it does make better sense to buy this for whatever 10,000 than it is to buy this for 10.
You're describing like a TYV package right now, because people always compare it with some other packages outside in this, like, wow, it's pricey. But I feel like if I'm giving you the whole chessboard, you're not, because outside you're just buying this, it's a waste of your money, even no matter how low price it is. But when you're getting the whole thing over here, and the better life, because you need to see the outcome, how it's adding value to your life. And if what I've created over here is going to add so much value to your life, and not just yours, your next generation, your kids, your family members, your surrounding, everyone's life, it doesn't matter. You cannot compare it with money.
So one of the things you did mention about yourselves is that you're trying to develop a lot of patience in order to, like, to deal with the clients who are giving you a lot of pushback. Because again, it's a back and forth, because you're not trying to deal just with the physical aspect of someone, and this is something that's mainly a part of TYB. You're dealing with the mental aspect of the person who has been ingrained in this way, to live life in this way. So it's very difficult. And as I often say, it's easy to fool a person than to convince them that they have been a fool.
Yeah.
Right? So you say that, you have to develop the patience, but I'm trying to see over here what more kind of a patience you can develop, because already what you're doing, in my opinion, is a lot of patience. Like, why are the 3 phases to my own conversion, right? That itself is you being patient. So what exactly do you mean when you say that you need to be more patient? Like, I'll be honest, if I was you, I would not give me a second chance, right?
The amount of work I have put in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, again, controversial, I have put in some work into some of my social, surroundings to bring them up to speed. But on this phase 3, I'm doing it alone, because they had the same phase 1 and say phase 1 as me, which was the improving. Then they had the same phase 2 as me, which was the decline. But the phase 3, I'm doing it alone.
Yeah.
Right? I'm doing it alone because I do not have it within me to do the phase 3 like I did phase 1, like bring them back in.
Or I said, like, last time that,
like, I'm not going to use any names.
you felt bad, and how I feel.
Yeah. How do you put up with this? How do you put up with me, for example? How do you put up with this? The constant, disappointment. I would call it a disappointment, because frankly, I would be disappointed, and I was disappointed. And it hurts me, honestly. That kind of hurtful feeling. How do you put up with this on a day-to-day basis? And I'm just one of many clients that you have. So how do you keep going?
As I said, if the wrong is happening, and if I say, like, this is wrong, and people don't listen to me, I will not stop saying that's wrong. I have to keep saying that this is wrong, right? Until people start listening to me and they start changing. And I have to find this way, that way, other way, whatever the way. Left, right, center, up, down, middle, whatever the way. I have to find, because if I stop saying, inside me, I will start dying. I will start killing my own potential, because I will not become the person I want to become in the long run. And I will not leave this place, the world I have visualized, the good place, the good society, and the good people, and the people who supports each other, the people who creates a better future, because I'm not the alone, I cannot do much. Right. That's the reason. For you guys, you see it like, oh, you guys have disappointed me by not following my plan, by not following everything, whatever I said. I don't see it that way. I say every day is a fight. You have made mistakes, many mistakes for many months or years maybe. I would say like, oh, well, 1 year you have made mistakes. But every time you have interacted with me, I have never stopped saying that you're making a mistake. And so many of my clients will watch this video and they know this. I never stopped saying for as many years as have passed in between us. I've never stopped saying that if you're making a mistake, you're making a mistake, and I will constantly keep saying and keep trying to improve you. Because I'm not just improving you. Through you, I'm reaching my one level up. Through you and through people, I'm in my vision, what vision I have for the world, I'm reaching there. For an example, if you are a carpenter in my house and if you are helping me to create what I wanted, if you keep making mistake, and if I keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again, and the time I stop, I know that in the end it will be a blender, and it will not be a vision what I had in my mind. So the vision what I want this world to be and how the society to be, and which is not just my personal vision. Trust me, when your daughter will grow up, you will realize, and I'm telling you, after 20 years, after 25 years, you will say, Yasir, thank you very much for making me live this lifestyle, for making me choose this lifestyle, for making me putting up so much with me and not giving up on me. What you are saying, like you disappoint me. No, you don't disappoint me. No one ever disappointed. Because this is my path I have chosen. This difficulty and hardships I have chosen. As I said, like I'm not at war in these days, like going at, but I am still at war. Maybe I'm not going at war, fighting with the enemies, with the weapon and with the sword and with the shield. I'm not wearing those armor, but psychologically I am at war with bad habits and the bad lifestyle. And that's you. I'm not, but me, when I'm at war with your bad habits, it's not directly with you. It's not directly with the society. It's not directly with the people who are watching this. Absolutely. It's where it's coming from. I'm at war with them. I'm at war with the lifestyle. I'm at war with the wrongdoing and the wrong thought process. So how can I get tired? How can I be disappointed? And have you ever seen a king who is disappointed by his army and said like, oh, okay, guys, go away. I will fight on my own. How? Yeah. He will lose. Yeah. So if I want to lose, I should be disappointed, yes. Yeah. But I'm not here to lose. And that's what I said many years ago when I came to Dubai. I have not come here to lose and look for 4, 5, 10 clients and transform and make my few thousand dirhams and live like any other trainer. I have not come to Dubai for this. I have come to Dubai from this, how can I help the whole world? Because I knew I had the vision, and I knew the vision of His Highness. I knew the vision of Sheikh Mohammed. I knew the vision of Sheikh Hamdan in 2008, 2007. I have seen Sheikh Hamdan's videos and that how much he was invested in the fitness and the sports. That time nothing was this big, and Dubai was not this the way it is right now, and the fitness industry has become today. And I knew he is the leader I want to follow. He is the leader. And today, if he will watch this video, he will be very proud that I've been following him since that time. And maybe I'm not directly, taking part like in every race and all that, but indirectly I'm subconsciously creating more and more and better society, which is creating and helping. That's the reason why I've got the biggest gym in Dubai. Yeah. Why I've got the most advanced gym in the world, and people are talking about it worldwide. There is a reason. And of course, I had to put up a fight with the society and with people, because if I had just chosen or taken what they have given me and the way they wanted me, I would not be here, because I had to go against, and I had to accept that I'm going to fail and over and over again. And then I will win. First, there is a saying, if you remember, they will mock you, they will laugh at you, and then they will notice that you are changing, and they will ask you like how you are changing and how you have changed. Then they will then they will ask you, how did you do it? And then they will start following you.
Yes.
Right? That's how it's been done. I forgot the name exactly who said this phrase, but that's how it's been done, and that's how people were laughing at me. Some of my closest people, they were laughing at me 20 years ago, including my family. They all made fun of me. When I came to Dubai, everyone made fun of me. Everyone, every trainer in every gym, they just made fun of me. But today, okay, let's say you have a country and you have, let's say, top 10 best warriors who are your bodyguards, and you are the king of that country, right? Now you keep training those top 10 best bodyguards, keep training, because they're getting good pay by you, they are supported, they are in the environment, they are very good warriors, they are inbuilt, their DNA is strong, and you have provided everything to them, and good coaching and everything is there, they're just very good. Now imagine you are going to fight with those 10 people against one of the biggest country and the best country. Will you win the war? Who do you have to train in? In the history. You have in the history.
The largest society of...
In the history. It's in the history. Who did they fight? Any king or anyone. Who did they train in the end? When they know, even the Braveheart. Who did they train?
The calling people.
The farmers. Right? The farmers. Kingdom of Heaven.
Yes.
The normal people. And the smith's son, who led the king could not lead, and the smith's son led the whole army, and they had to surrender. But he saved his people. He saved the whole community and the society at that time. And the same thing happened with the Braveheart. If you go you go back in time, it's the common people had to fight in the end. What am I doing? Maybe the government, maybe the over here, which I respect this, as I said in my previous podcast also. And I tell you, please do support the government. Please do pay a little extra to the tax, or any way you can help. I know, alhamdulillah, we are in this amazing country, an amazing place. I don't think that need my little money. I have nothing to actually, but what I can offer is my brain. What I can offer is my commitment. What I can offer is my energy and the goodness I have got and what I'm creating by helping the society. Maybe, I don't know, little money if I can offer, it will do anything to them. And that's what I suggest. The reason I mention that in every single podcast, please do. Because they have the right vision, which is not there in every country in the world in today's time. And at that time, if the king is just training the best of the best people and not the lower one, when we are at war, it's not going to work. Your 10 people will not make you win the war.
Yeah. And as you know, I mean, like when you're praising the country, it's like, it's done really beautiful. I'm telling you, one of the rarest countries, in fact, maybe possibly the only one that comes to mind, where we go beach workout every week.
Oh, yeah.
We leave our phones on the beach mat. No tension. The kind of, even if they're kind of secure, nobody, but everyone is just got proper decorum. Society is quite good. For the large part, or if you look at the general spectrum of it, we have a lot to be grateful for the society over here in this country, and that's because of course of the proper leadership. And of course, when your leadership is good, when your guidance is good, the people will follow. And with good leadership position, people follow and do the right things. What we are lacking, and why they actually started this whole movement of fitness, is because they noticed that the obesity rate is increasing in Dubai. So they are, as good leaders should, and that's what they are doing. They are bringing more awareness to it.
Yeah, I think Sheikh Hamdan has done like such amazing job, the ruler, and the kind of lifestyle, every time posting about fitness and every time posting about his progress, which is amazing. I think as a leader, if you are living like that, and the best part about him is, like, I think all the rulers in 7 Emirates, but him, because he started when he was very young, and he was showcasing, I think social media started coming up, and he started like doing all of that. Such a simple life. You will not you will not see him wearing different colors of clothes or showing. I mean, he can show off. I mean, the whole place belongs to him. But living very simply, very stoic face, very positive, and always offer more, very humble, very kind. I think we are just so grateful to be. I think
I don't know if I was in any other country, because when I was in my country, I was doing the same thing, right? But the things were like, I'm not saying that my country is not good. My country is amazing because there is so much richness is there. But the thing is like, I did not get such opportunity over there.
Yes.
I just didn't get such.
Many of us, that's why we are here, right?
Yeah.
Many of us, we have a lot to be grateful for. And I think when we look at the different countries in the world, we cannot point out any single country that has contributed more than all the other countries combined, right? That's I forgot who said that, but it basically anything. Oh, okay, let's take the Romans, one of my favorite things. They have contributed a lot to the world. Now combine all the other civilizations. Have the Romans contributed more than that combination? No. So yes, there are positives of our society, the Indian society, which we come from. There are positives of course, the Emirati society and all of that. And this is where we have to have a free and open dialogue, where we exchange positive ideas.
Yeah.
I think it does a lot of harm, and I do believe this is very common in our society, is where we have the belief that we have perfected culture.
Hamara sanskar, hamara.
Exactly. No, I mean, for those of you in Indian community, you'll understand the meaning of the word sanskar, ye sab. No, yes, that is important to a certain degree, but we also have to be open-minded to understand that there are other cultures around the world who have some things that we can adopt from them. And we were just discussing about the Western societies and how they are so, like, not societies, but how technologically they are so advanced. When we talk about, like, weaponry today, right? Most of the weapons are being manufactured in the West, that's being sold. Like even Indians, we procure from Russia, which is typically the West.
Yeah.
Or we. It was invented. What are most of these weaponries using today? Gunpowder. Gunpowder originated in China, right? But look, these guys adopted it, and then they perfected it, right? Like, oh, they're not perfected, but they improvised on it. And of course, we're talking about weaponry, which is probably not a very good example, but there are multiple.
Chess. Chess was invented in
India. Chess was invented in India, but see how it's being adopted. So we have a lot to celebrate in our diversity, and we have to be open to diversities and the good habits of other cultures that we have to adopt. But one of the things when we speak about the good cultures of good habits of other cultures is that you and me have recently started as part of Kaizen going to the beach every week.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen our community over there at the beach? Not in the morning till now, none.
We are not a single. That's 1 month.
Not a single
one till now.
And as far as population is concerned over here, as a percentile of a ratio, I think maybe every 1 in 3 person is probably from a
30%.
Yeah, I guess So
1% is, I think, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Indian, Pakistanis, whatever you.
Yes, 1 in every 3 person is from our community. Yeah, not a soul. So we need to realize how. That if you want to talk about balance, that is kind of balance where they're getting enough of nature, where they're spending themselves outside. They are working. They are obviously not just here to lie around and a beach all the time or do something like that. We need to accept what is good from other cultures, because that's the only way we'll grow. If I'm not saying what our ancestors
did, but I tell you one thing. Let's take it Dubai.
Yeah.
Let's take UAE.
Yeah.
Take UAE right now. Our community, Indian community, and Pakistani community came very early over here and established their businesses and all that.
Absolutely.
Where do you see right now where they stand when it comes to the contributing to the society over here, or the being the face of Dubai? Because there was time when they were the face of UAE. Right now, where they stand and why? I think because you are born and brought up here, so you can explain it the best way.
I would say yes. We do not stand where we once were. Definitely, we are not at that level where we once were. But that has nothing to do with the conditions of the country or of anything. They have. It has to do with the attitudes of our own society.
Yes.
So we have to blame ourselves for this. And a reason being is not our society has deteriorated. It has deteriorated. We have to. If we have to analyze this, we have to think of what happened 30 years ago, where we were, a face, as you mentioned, a face of Dubai. There were at that point of time, a lot of Indians, a lot of good, positive investment where, honestly, we could hold our head high and, have a lot more pride in what we have contributed as a helpful part of the wider society within Dubai, right? It's because the people back then, the Indians back then who were here were very different. They were our fathers, and all of you can agree. They came here from very different background. They achieved, they had a much different time, hardships. Now, we tend to forget because this country has developed so quickly, but like 30 years ago, it wasn't an easy life for our parents or even the locals who were here, right? It was very tough. I mean, I've heard stories of how they had to get water all the way from, because Alain had, the oasis, the springs, and they had to get that on camelback all the way to. So it's a very different life. So what we have experienced is very different. Right now, we have experienced very different, and we have not maintained the same level of, discipline, the same level of commitment. So that's why if we are talking about a decline in, let's say, the Indian representation or the higher levels, is because of a vast majority of Indians that have initially contributed. The second generation, as I would like to call it, has fallen short. So what you are trying to do is you're trying to inculcate, and this all boils down to, yes, is stress, is hardship a good thing? Yes, facing hardship is a good thing if you can use it to improve yourself. The luxury we have faced is in a way making us weak. I mean, the Mughals had a saying: bad times create good men create good times create weak men, and weak men bring bad times. And that's the whole cycle. That's the whole cycle, right? So,
if I say, since we are speaking really truth, and you need to be honest with me because you belong to the same society, and I know it's how hard it is for you to actually transform and becoming this. While being in Dubai, you have lived in Abu Dhabi also, and you are living in Dubai, and you're surrounded by this society, Indian community. Where do you think what they should change? If you give a truthful advice, what advice would you give?
So my personal opinion where they should change is, I feel like they should give a chance for something that's not part of the normal message that they hear on a day-to-day basis to be heard, right? Because accepting that something is wrong, for an example, like what you say, like what I just said, that there needs to be a change. Just a simple comment that there needs to be a change in the way we think is offensive to our community. How can he say that we need to change the way we think?
Yeah,
it's perfect. Doesn't need to be changed, right? You need to change that first. You need to be able to hear me say that. You need to be able to hear me say that we need to change the way we think.
Yeah.
But that itself is hard for them to do. So what else can I advise them? I can say something like, okay, you need to lead healthier lifestyles, but you're not going to listen to that because you can't change the way you think, right? So the very first thing you need to master is what's up here.
Why do you think like I transform the mind and focus on the mind?
Exactly, because you need to be able to accept that what you're doing is not. And that's why I say any one of you who disagrees with me and who knows me personally, who wants to sit down with me and say, oh, Aaron, this podcast, I have a few please do.
Yeah, please come and talk.
Please come and talk to me because I'm open to hearing your ideas.
Yeah.
What I'm suggesting is that our society should be more willing to hear different ideas and to try to assess for themselves what is a possibly good idea. I feel that a lot of us are very proud in the way we think, even though there are a lot of flaws in the way we think.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that what we have is bad, but why can't it be better? What we have, so we have a good way of but why can't it be?
What we have, if it is not making us grow, then we need to change that.
Yeah, I mean, see, there are a lot of positive things I can say about the Indian way of thinking. Yes, we're very traditional. We're very family-oriented.
That's very good thing.
It's a very good thing. So there are good things about us, but why
so much of financial support comes when you are family-oriented and when you live together.
Yes.
There's so much of support, but utilize this as
we have a respect for others. See, whether they might be right or wrong, we always treat all others with respect. Yes, that's part of our culture. That's part of. I mean, it's very similar to even local culture. I see that they have a lot of similarities. So we have really good aspects of our culture, but that does not mean our culture cannot be better.
Yeah.
It does not mean there are things that we cannot improve. Now, if some of the things we need to improve is like focus more on our healthy lifestyle. Yes, there are aspects of our culture that promote healthy lifestyle, like yoga, like meditation, like all of these things. And we say, yes, this is part of our culture. But how many of you are doing it? How many of you are actually doing it? Like, okay, you might argue with me saying that, no, in our culture, we have yoga. We have all.
how many of you are doing it.
How many of you are doing it? And how many of you are doing it on a regular basis?
But in our culture also there is healthy eating along with this.
Absolutely.
You know, the kind of eating these yogis eat, you would not like it. So you would never follow that. You know what? That's why in our culture we have yoga, but in our culture we have healthy eating also. Who's following that?
Not just go to any. I mean, I haven't been, but I can pretty much guess, and maybe I'd be right to make a guess or a bet on this. Go to any of these yoga classes over here in this city, and who are most of the people in those classes? Is it us?
No. It's not us.
See, I didn't even answer it.
I know it's not.
I was going to give the same answer. So how can we claim that it is our culture, it originated from us, but does something really belong to us if we don't use it?
So in the world, where is the yoga most famous? In the West.
In the West.
It's not in our place.
Yeah.
But they will come, they will learn, and they will go. Some of the biggest yoga businesses are in the West.
Now, I will ask you something personal. Okay, what car do you drive?
I ride a Dodge.
Okay. Is it your car? It's your car.
Yes.
No, but Dodge produced it.
Yeah, Dodge produced it.
So why is it not Dodge's company?
Because I bought it.
It's yours. You use and I like it. Exactly. So how can you claim as a yoga is yours if you are not even respecting it and you're not doing it? And more than you, the Western people are doing it nowadays, right? The other people are doing it and they have more an appreciation.
So they have paid up, and let's say everything comes with a price. They have paid it by sacrificing, learning, and creating the whole environment over there.
Yes, exactly. And imagine that is not something they have been raised with, but yet they are attentive to it. So don't we have to learn from them that if they are so open-minded to accept yoga from us, maybe there are aspects of their culture that we can learn from them.
We did actually partying, Western lifestyle when it comes to.
But these are the negative.
All the negative we have adopted. All the negative we have taken it.
Yeah.
Because where this, the lifestyle comes, which is like.
But I'm sure there are positive aspects of their.
Because let's say some of the cold countries where it's compulsory to drink alcohol. It's important. Like let's say in Russia, where it's like you have to drink because you need to keep your body warm.
Yeah.
And that you have seen and taken it in the hot countries, in our country over here, where you made it very common for you to drink, which is a style, which is a lifestyle, which is like a trend. They didn't realize that actually what alcohol it's actually do to your body when it goes in. It makes you warm. It makes you, like not feel the pain of the cold. And they forgot that why it was supposed to be used. Now people, the way they have modified it, or the way they have like enjoyment. Yeah, it's just to enjoyment. What is this? Which one is the cocktail and the mocktail? I always get confused. Which one is
cocktail? Is the alcoholic, cocktail is the
no. I don't drink both. Because even the sugar, because of the sugar, I don't drink what mocktail.
Mocktail is basically a mock cocktail. Think of it that way.
So you made it just like in a very fun, stylish, and you enjoy it. Oh wow, I'm having this drink which is very trendy. The glass is like this, and you have something on top, and it looks like very colorful. I mean, the alcohol was not for this basically. But now when we are using the way we are utilizing it in this in the society, and the way it's affecting people's life is completely, outrageous. I mean, as you said this morning only, if you're doing something wrong, and you're doing it just once a while I will do wrong.
Exactly. I give an example of let's say a lot of people say with the alcohol, right? Like, yeah, it's moderation. It's about balance. And if you feel it's wrong, then why even do it even in balance or whatever? Like for example, I believe murder is wrong, right? Exactly. I mean, I don't need the law to tell me that. I personally believe Of course, the law is there and that's good. But I personally believe that murder is bad. Now, I can't say I can moderate it but if I just kill one person. There's no moderation. It's like,
One person a year?
yeah. It's like, if it's bad, it's bad. Yeah. Right? There's no such thing as a moderation. So if you believe with any, if you believe with even a sliver of your own belief that alcohol is bad, then there's no such thing as moderation. Stay away from it. Right? If I don't believe it, that's something else. We can discuss why I might believe it.
Why it is bad? Because you are the one who used to drink and you are the one who stopped drinking. So why it is bad about it to you? Because to be honest, like I don't know
If we talk
details of it much internal.
If we talk from a health aspect, yes, obviously people use the more, the more excessive use of alcohol as bad because it leads to really major health complications like you could get liver damage and all of that. I'm not even going to talk about
It actually slows down your brain.
Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about the more complex or the more severe cases, okay? Because that's what people who drink alcohol would often say that's perhaps why alcohol is bad. If you overdrink it, you're intoxicated, which means you could do something that's not correct.
Yeah.
Like there have been instances where someone who's extremely intoxicated has committed murder, and that person under normal circumstances would not have committed murder or would not have committed these acts because you lose control as alcohol. I'm not even going to talk about that because obviously everyone knows that is wrong, right? Whether you are a person consuming or not consuming, you know that is wrong regardless. Why I personally feel like it is wrong is because as a man, I have to protect my hormonal balance, right? And everyone is responsible for their own hormonal balance. And alcohol actually, even in limited amounts, actually increases estrogen. Now, estrogen is the female hormone. I'm not a doctor as well.
Or females should drink alcohol because it's a female hormone is promoting it.
So this is the thing about society. We'll get to that. So let me just talk about how it is as a man.
Yeah.
Okay. As a man, putting estrogen in my system is not good. I have to maximize my testosterone, right? So that I can be productive, so that I can, do a lot of activities that is befitting of a man, that is required of a man or a productive man in society. Now, for women, and what most of society will tell you is that testosterone is toxic, because nowadays they want to say that masculinity is toxic. Well, if testosterone is toxic, why do women have more testosterone than estrogen? Right? Okay, you don't have the same levels of testosterone as a man, but in your own bodies, you do have testosterone.
Yeah, you do.
And that level of testosterone is more than the estrogen you have. The only difference between a man and a woman is that we have much lower estrogen than you have, but we have much higher testosterone than you have. But regardless, in both of our cases, our testosterone levels are higher.
Much higher.
Yes, much higher. So if anything, if testosterone is a crucial hormone, it's not something that you can neglect.
Yeah.
Right? And why take something that creates a hormonal imbalance is my point. Why take, there's a natural way. Now, there are some, if we're talking about a more sensitive topic, there are some men who purposely take estrogen.
Yeah.
Because they want to be
The opposite.
Right? You're affecting your hormonal balance,
Yeah.
right? Which is your natural state of being, which is going to have repercussions. Now, I'm not against you doing it per se. I don't hate you if you do it. And I think you need help.
Yes.
Right? You need some sort of guidance. You need some sort of help. And I don't hate anyone who's of that kind. But it's not the right thing to do. I'm never going to agree with you that this is the right thing to do, right? So even with the females, if we have to talk about the whole alcohol thing,
Yeah.
why do you want to increase your levels if it is not necessary for you to do so?
Yeah.
Right? Why do you want to do it? Apart from that, it is at the end of the day a toxin, right? It is at the end of the day a toxin. Tell me, whether you have one glass of alcohol or you have 15 glasses of alcohol, is your liver not trying to detoxify your system? It's going to be the same thing, right? Whether you have one glass or you have 15, maybe if you have 15 glasses, then perhaps your liver will not be able to keep up and you would be in a really bad situation. Maybe you'd have alcohol poisoning, or maybe you could even die. Right? Right? So, this thing is like extremely dangerous. And I think anything in abundance is dangerous. Anything in abundance.
Yeah, if I train like 10 hours, I'm just going to injure myself, and I'm just going, definitely hydration. If I just keep doing everything without recovering, so that's the reason I focus so much on recovery. But one point which you have said about testosterone, so I'm talking about more of the, but to be honest with you, in these two genders, men and women are way more aware about their hormones than men about men. Guys are just not even aware about testosterone. They're just scared of testosterone. That, testosterone, it means you're talking about steroids. We're talking about steroids. We're talking about the hormone which exists in you. We're talking about the level of that, how you can improve that, how you can work on that. And testosterone, like just decision-making, require testosterone. Your rage to achieve something, your focus required testosterone.
Yes.
Your perseverance required testosterone. Your leadership quality required testosterone. Guys, I'm not saying it. Guys, please don't just take what I'm saying. Go and search. There are books. Read it. You are educated people. Please go and read it. When it comes to facing hardships, required testosterone.
And that is why women also have it, because
there are many amazing single mothers. Let's say, like if something happens to the husband or whatever, God forbid something happened, and they have to raise their kids alone. Because our bodies are adapted to the nature, and the environment we live in, we can start adapting the same. Now, when there is pressure on a woman, and because I think the way a mother can protect her child, no one can do the same. It's a different level of the mother. Suddenly, she will have a lot of power and speed, and that is strength. Yes, a strength just to protect her kids, her child. That's very different. So that's why they adapt very fast, and their testosterone start increasing in their body. Of course, not at the level of men, but they start increasing because because their brain is functioning in a very different way. They have become more leader kind, and they want to protect, and they want to provide, and they want to just help the family to grow, and the kids to grow and to have a better living. And that's what is happening in today's time, where the men are just not taking the responsibility, and they're just running away. I mean, there are so many men who just leave their women and the kids, and they just don't take any responsibility yet. And I just don't understand why at first place it was your decision, it was your responsibility, you are the one who was in charge of the relationship, that you have made this decision to live with this person and to have, okay, fine, to live with this person is still, okay, fine. You want to get divorced, you want to walk away. But having kids, it was your decision, man. Absolutely. Why you could have sought your life, and those 9 months when she was bearing a child, it's enough time for you to sort your life out. So you're prepared for the child, and you're prepared to live and provide better. Absolutely. So, and why this happened? A lack of testosterone.
Lack of testosterone, and a combination of, I was telling you, I mean, maybe most of you who are much younger than myself and Yasir, you will not maybe remember a time, but I remember a time where there was this thing known as a super beef, which is not heard of these days.
Yes.
There was this thing known as, my TV is broken. We're going to go to the roof and try to adjust the antenna.
I remember those days.
Fix things, right? We had the ability to delay our gratification and to work towards fixing things. Whereas nowadays, there's a little crack on my phone, throw it away, buy a new phone.
Not about that. It's the shoes. It was shoes. Yeah, the music cassettes I used to go, because I did not have money with the phone. I did not have money to actually buy the old cassette. So I used to go to, so that they can record those songs. It was like 1 rupee, 2 rupee that you can record the song. And so I just used to listen.
Do you remember when those tapes used to, and you had to use a pencil to get it all back in everything in place?
I traveled from Bhopal to Bombay just for one magazine. And today, and I didn't even know how to read English. Just to see pictures, I traveled 800 kilometers. I didn't have money. I didn't have resources. I traveled in the morning and I came back so like night's train I took. The morning I reached there, I spent the whole day there. Night train I took again. Next morning in 48 hours I was back in my town, in my city. And for what? Just to see pictures in magazine, which right now in 2 seconds I will Google bodybuilders or fitness models, whatever I wanted to see, whatever I wanted to learn, even though I didn't even know how to read English at that time. I traveled 800 kilometers just for this, and not once, many times. 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers in my own city, just to see pictures. I didn't even know what was written there. Because the delayed gratification is so much important. It's so, but in today's time,
It's all about instant gratification.
yes. You have money, just order online.
Because everything is, and I'm sure you are much better than me in explaining this. And also there are psychologists and people who are involved. Everything is about that initial or a rush or getting a spike in your dopamine, right? People join the gym. Why? Not because they want a healthy lifestyle. It's because they want the body. Like I joined the gym. Why? I'll tell you right now that when I first met you at the 110, I joined you because I want a good point.
You're just like Brad Pitt physique I showed you. Yeah, so this is what I want. This is what I want.
But I'm here now with you because I realized that it's about the lifestyle. It's about doing the right thing on a daily basis, and to derive happiness or contentment in doing that right thing. And if the result comes in 1 year, if it comes in 2 years,
it's a life.
it's a life I'm going to eventually get there.
Yeah.
Now, you might have a car and you might drive from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. But if I have 2 feet and I can keep walking, I will eventually reach there.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, maybe it's better to buy a car. I'm not suggesting walking all the way. Maybe if there is an alternative, get a car. But if not,
Just walk.
just walk. It's nothing. Just walk. I feel like with delayed gratification, what happens is you learn to enjoy the basic. And we were just talking about why people consider things boring is because it's the spike. This day of the weekend, we went to a concert. That's your spike, and you're happy. Now, the rest of the days, you're unhappy. So you're taking like 15 pictures that you're going to post just to maintain or live off that high.
Yeah.
I know to live off
Where's the lie?
which is the lie. It's because your daily thing. But if you're a person who enjoys your daily routine, why do you even need to go to the concert? Like, why do you even need to? A lot of times my wife tells me, you're totally an introverted, totally like, you don't like to socialize. I am very, people can judge me maybe. I am pleasant to be around, I guess. Okay, ask my friends maybe when I'm there. But most of the time I'm to myself. And people asking, how do you enjoy this, right? And the thing is because I really enjoy my own company. I enjoy my own company, and that's something that people struggle with today. They get restless. And I remember this situation during, I got COVID, and I was in lockdown for like, the typical, that was 10 days in a required lockdown for safety of not spreading the disease. And I come out of it, and one of my friends asked me, so how are you? Were you bored? I said, I had a blast. I was by myself. I did what I had to do. I read stuff, kept myself engaged. Because, again, I try to limit the spikes. Yeah. Whatever the spike is, for example, if you're smoking, that is a spike. You're getting the dopamine spike. If you're having a drink, that's a dopamine spike. If you're having dessert, that's a dopamine spike, which means, and what does that eventually lead to? It leads to craving because now you're feeling bored, right?
You don't have that anymore.
You don't have that
Spike anymore.
Yeah, you don't have that anymore. I mean, there are experiments where, they give animals drugs and then the animals become addicted to it.
Yeah.
Because why? What is an addiction? You crave for that spike. You get bored of what you'd consider to be a mundane ability.
But you need that. You need the dopamine spike, but with the right kind of habits, it's like the training.
Exactly.
Lifting weights gives you a very dopamine high.
But see, that kind of dopamine high will come to you only during maybe let's say your training duration is one and a half hour. Yeah. For me to get a dopamine spike of, let's say, from smoking a cigarette or having a shot of alcohol, it's a second. Right? It's a second. Or eating a dessert.
And there's no hard work also, right?
Yeah, there's no
pain. Yeah, and in training, there's pain.
Yeah, exactly. So here I'm getting that delayed gratification. I'm working out, so I'm spreading that dopamine, like the amount of dopamine I'm receiving. I'm spreading it out, and that's why even eating healthy. Sometimes any of you have eaten a healthy diet that is plentiful, and I don't mean when I say diet means I'm eating like a little food. I'm eating plentiful but healthy food.
Yeah,
you realize that you feel happy.
exactly.
But it's delayed gratification. It's the same thing as eating a dessert, let's say a jalebi or any of your desserts of your choice. You feel that same happiness, but the difference is that comes in a second. Whereas eating the healthy food and now you feel like you're ready to be active. You've got the energy, to do.
That is why there should be a difference. You should be able to differentiate between the feelings and the reality.
Exactly.
Feelings are never real. Right? So you should be able to, I feel like eating this. Okay, eat this. So you have eaten, and I love eating this. Love is a feeling. I love eating this. Does this love you back? Right? So usually people spend time with people because they love them. They love playing, they love doing this, any kind of activity. Same way, when I ask them like, so what's your favorite food? Oh, I love eating this and that. Let's say burger, pizza, or anything, pasta. I'm not saying this Italian food, but any biryani. Now, okay, you love eating that, eat this, and after a while, after you have eaten, does this food loves you back?
Yeah,
and you feel like, I don't feel, because if it loves you back, you will feel good about yourself.
Yeah,
but you don't. Then why do you love this food? That's just a feeling one-sided. You don't want that one way. You don't need it two ways, right? So I think, last few things which are the advices you would like to give to these audience who are watching, because I think this podcast is against the odds. We are speaking truth. The podcast is all about that. So last few advices which you would like to give to the people, how they can live better, since you are someone with a lot of knowledge and now you're implementing all that knowledge in your life. Being here, being with me, I think you spend a lot of time. You're helping me also actually quite a lot to learn, that I'm constantly helping you and I'm getting the same help back, which is amazing.
I think just be more receptive to ideas. I feel people need to open up in themselves. They need to be more flexible, to be able to hear the ideas at first, then analyze it for yourselves. Understand if, this is in your best interest. What is the reason someone is saying something? Put yourself in their shoes. Like, the minute you feel like offended, right? And offending is what? Like, if I see you, for example, and I say, you're like fat. If I say you're fat, that's a criticism of me, right? Understand that criticism is necessary. Like, as Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of Britain, said, criticism is necessary. It fulfills the same function of pain in the human body. It calls to your attention a state of unhealthy things. So basically, be open to criticism. Try to hear it and understand what is the reason behind this criticism. What are people actually trying? What is the message of Yasir? Okay, his message is to lead a healthy lifestyle, do all of this. Now, why is he saying this?
Yeah.
Don't care, okay, this hurt my feelings. Why is he saying this? I will not put the answer, because I'm encouraging you, the viewers, to answer it for yourselves.
Yeah.
And when you know the answers, you can be one of two things. You can either, continue what you're currently doing, or you can, try to change things in your life. That's up to the viewer, right? And I remember I told you this one thing about, how people can either be, if people can always be behind you, right? They can choose to talk behind you, for example. And if you just can imagine it, they're walking and someone is talking behind you, they will always be behind you. But if you follow someone, then there is a possibility you can be ahead of them.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the very first things you need to learn if you have to be a leader is you have to learn how to follow. Because if you don't know how to follow, how can you lead?
As I said, like when I was just got to know on the internet 2008, 2007, I was just learning and researching, and I got to know about Sheikh Hamdan. And I was so impressed. This is the leader I want to follow. And I started following that. And look at me. There are people who are following me today. Absolutely. Because I know how to follow someone who is right. I know how to follow someone and start taking the good from this person and start implementing, though he doesn't know me. He is not, maybe he's aware, maybe he's not aware what I'm doing. I don't know that person, but I've never met him personally. I would love to meet him. I would love to express my gratitude towards that for giving me the opportunity to work here and, do all of this. But I've just kind of learned from his habits and the lifestyle and what he was promoting. And I started focusing and start promoting the same thing. And now today you see, like, there are people who are following me. Yes, is it easy or hard? Yes, it's not easy. It's very difficult. It's very hard because I have to live like that. And trust me, living that simply is not that easy at all. It's hard. But I am content and I know that I'm doing the right and I know I'm adding value to this society. So I think that's what we are. That's the reason that we are here and, doing this podcast also. And that's the reason I wanted you to actually share your views and pick your mind and discuss all these topics. But anyway, Aaron, thank you very much for, being a part of this podcast. I think this is the longest podcast that I have ever shot. I know if you will spend these 4 hours listening to this podcast, it will make so much sense. And you are the one who is going to transform and you are the one who is going to change your life and not just yours, everyone around you. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.